Chapter 992. Ancient Earth culture and history enthusiasts are disgusted. The TV series they are filming is about a legendary figure recorded in ancient Earth history. When I saw this history by chance, I was fascinated by her extraordinary political views and courage. For this reason, when I was choosing a university, I deliberately chose a related major in order to understand more about ancient culture and history, the history related to her. I heard that someone was willing to film her legendary life into a TV series. At first I was very happy and looked forward to it. For this reason, I even gave up the tutor's big class tonight and risked failing to watch the premiere of this TV series. But it turned out that this TV series was not worthy of my expectations at all. This TV series turned an independent woman with a political mind into a Mary Sue who relied on men to get to the top. Ugh, this comment was from a student majoring in ancient culture. It was obvious that she was really dissatisfied with this TV series. She did not mention the content of the TV series throughout, but the disappointment in her words was obvious. It was worth mentioning that there were many people who agreed with her. Most of these people were also ancient culture enthusiasts and had looked forward to this TV series. No, to be precise, they had looked forward to the period dramas in recent years. Unfortunately, the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. Every time they thought that their bottom line had been lowered enough, the appearance of some TV series would always tell them that their bottom line had to be lowered a little more. Otherwise they would really be angered to death. After being angered a few times like this, some people became numb and some people exploded. After the first professional comment with such disappointment appeared, more and more ancient culture enthusiasts joined the team and began to criticize Wen Jingping's TV series from beginning to end. A particularly powerful professional even specially organized a popular science post for this TV series. He specifically pointed out some of the flaws in the costumes, hairstyles, props, and etiquette. He even gave a series of historical arguments, making it difficult for people to refute. After reading his popular science post, many people felt that the TV series was even more plastic. They had spent so much money on it, but the setting was not good, the costumes were not good, the makeup was not good, the acting was not good, and the plot was dragging. So where did all the money go? Did they spend it on publicity to brainwash the audience? That's why, never try to annoy a group because you never know when your actions will become the fuse that causes them to explode. Once these people joined forces because of this fuse, the energy they could erupt was unpredictable and difficult to resist. Wen Jingping's TV series unfortunately became the fuse for the audience who had been fooled by all kinds of TV series over the years. Even the ratings of her TV series fell to the bottom along with its reputation. Wen Jingping was so angry that she smashed the things next to her when she saw more than 90% of the negative comments on the TV series and the few popular posts. These idiots, what do they know? A bunch of fools who haven't seen the world. They don't even know about the famous people in ancient times. How dare they criticize my drama? And these so-called ancient culture enthusiasts? Professional? Did he really think that he knew everything after learning some superficial knowledge? All he did was read a few things and he thought that he was amazing. To put it bluntly, he was just a contrarian. Those who can't be seen in real life will only show their existence on the internet. These trash rats bugs. Chapter 993. After venting her anger, Wen Jingping calmed down a little. She seemed to have thought of something and clicked on the comments section of Red Singing. The publicity for Red Singing was actually quite good. Unfortunately, every time there was any movement, another drama would stick to it and deliberately suppress their popularity. Therefore, the premiere ratings of Red Singing were actually a little worse than Queen. This was also one of the reasons why Wen Jingping was so smug. She felt that if her drama suppressed Dong Cheng's drama, she would also be able to suppress Su Yiyan. However, she probably didn't expect that this feeling of superiority would last for a day. As the ratings of Queen plummeted, Red Singing's ratings and reputation steadily increased. They both started with 8 points, but Queen's ratings kept dropping. Meanwhile, Red Singing's ratings had gradually climbed to 5 points, and the comments were all positive. This style, this setting, and this acting are really amazing. Compared to the production team next door, the little brothers and sisters are simply fairies. The plot is also very tight and not dragging. I love it. Above, keep a low profile. Let's not flatter and trample on each other. The most important thing is that the production team next door has Hua Lu Feng and extremely embarrassing acting skills. There's really nothing to compare with our drama. Please don't lower yourself. Thank you. When I looked at the cast before, I was worried that the lead actors were not young anymore. Would they be too old to play the little brothers in their teens or 20s? It turns out that I was too narrow-minded. The age of the stars is different from our age. The little brothers and sisters in the drama are so tender that you can pinch water out of them. I can do it again. It's not just because their skin conditions are good and they know how to take care of themselves. Let's talk about the logistics team of this drama. The stylist is teacher Shi Meiling. She was a famous stylist in the entertainment industry back then. The most classic dramas such as The Secret History of XX, XX Dynasty, XX Legend, and a series of very good dramas with good plots were all once the white moonlight in my heart. However, later on she gradually faded out of the entertainment industry and stopped styling people. I didn't expect this drama to be able to invite her. Just based on this, I will definitely watch this drama to the end. It's not just the stylist. Look at the director of this drama, Luo Baoging. If you don't know, I suggest you search for it. You will be surprised. There was also a technical consultant. They had hired Song Linghua teacher Song. If you didn't know, you could look it up. He was a famous opera master. They had probably specially hired him because of the female lead's identity. From this aspect, it could be seen that the crew was very considerate. Unlike a certain production team next door. Previously, Bloodsucking kept talking about investments. I thought that they had hired some Daluo Golden Immortal as foreign aid. Now it seems that it's nothing much. Haha, the sister above is too outstanding. I said everything I wanted to say. Daluo Golden Immortal was very appropriate. Previously, before the drama was broadcast, the fake reviewers were terrifying. Even if they didn't say anything, they would say that it was a few $100 million investment. We have money, but those who say that are poor people. I went out to search and came back. F***CK, what kind of godly crew is this? No wonder, even though he couldn't understand what the female lead was singing, he just felt that her figure was especially beautiful and her temperament was especially good. The most important thing was that her singing was especially mellow and pleasant. When I watched it yesterday, my mother listened to a few lines and immediately ran over to watch it with me. After watching 2 episodes, she still wanted me to call her when I watch it tomorrow. Ha ha ha. Chapter 994. Previously, when the two companies had a falling out, the earliest example was the directing team. After Hai Yi poached Pan Yuan, Su Yiyan personally went to invite Luo Baoging to come over and forcefully suppressed Pan Yuan. Therefore, many people knew that the director of their drama was Luo Baoging. However, if someone didn't deliberately mention the other people behind the scenes, such as the scriptwriter, technical consultant, and even stylist, most people wouldn't pay attention to them. In addition, most of these old artists were used to keeping a low profile and didn't like to create hype. In the beginning, when the production team announced it, they deliberately avoided it and tried their best not to let people disturb these seniors. Now that the drama had been broadcast, spontaneously promoting it was different from the audience actively discovering it. In the early days, when the drama hadn't been broadcast or wasn't popular, spontaneously promoting it was to let the audience watch the drama based on this and pull up the ratings. When the audience took the initiative to discover it, it meant that the drama had already entered the public's attention and had received a certain level of recognition. At this time, the team behind the scenes was only icing on the cake. It would also give people a good impression that the production team was really low-key and doing practical things. When Jinping had been so angry that she smashed things when she saw that her drama had been criticized as worthless. Now that she saw that her opponent's drama had such a good reputation and received so much praise, anger instantly rushed to her head. She couldn't wait to pick up the scattered things on the ground and smash them again. These brainless low-class people who don't know what's good for them. What's so good about an actress's drama? It's just sensationalism. How can it be as big as my drama's theme? Sure enough, although the technological development of people in the future has advanced a little, the taste of entertainment is getting worse and worse. It's not worthy of liking my drama at all. The system in Wen Jinping's mind listened to its host's complaints and wanted to say something, but it didn't. If it wasn't just a string of emotionless data, she was afraid that it would have sent her 2 rolling eyes. Wen Jinping didn't have any self-awareness at all. She muttered to herself, "These must be fake reviewers. Yes, they must be fake reviewers. Otherwise, why would they only come to find trouble with me and not with the production team? We're both in period dramas. How can their makeup, hairstyle, and even clothes compare to mine? How can they match history? Why do these people just refuse to let me go instead of educating them? Someone must have deliberately set the pace here." When the system heard this, it couldn't help but grumble in its heart. "Your drama has been flaunting itself as a historical drama since the start of filming, just so you can enjoy the benefits of these ancient culture lovers. The production team next door isn't as pretentious as you guys. From the very beginning they said that it was a fake background. They just casually added a background for the sake of passing the review to facilitate the plot. Although those professionals were good at arguing, they weren't stupid. Coming to find trouble with you was the right thing to do, but going to find trouble with that person's crew was a scam. No, I can't just sit here and wait for death. I have to hire a water army too. I have to ask the company to help me hire a water army. I also have to delete the comments. I can't let them lead me away. When Jinping seemed to have grasped at a life-saving straw, she hurriedly called her agent who had given up on her and asked her to help her deal with this matter. Who would have thought that before she could make the call, another call came in first? Hello, Miss Wen. I'm Mr. Dou's assistant, Li Yu. Chapter 995. When Jinping could not help but shiver when she heard the words, Mr. Dou. She gulped and said carefully, Mr. Li, what's the matter? It's like this. Miss Wen, you should know that the drama you starred in has been released recently. Yes, that's true. I took a look. The ratings for the premiere of the drama are all right. But, no matter what she said, as long as she said the word, but, it was easy to cause problems. When Jinping naturally knew this, her heart skipped a beat, and her expression stiffened for a moment. But other than the premiere, the ratings for the drama have dropped significantly in the later stages. The reputation of the drama doesn't seem to be good either. This is just a temporary thing. The audience for dramas with this theme is more picky, and some people don't like to watch dramas. They will wait until the drama is over before starting from the beginning. A temporary drop in the ratings doesn't mean anything. I believe that our drama is so good that the ratings will slowly climb back up in the later stages. I hope so. Li Yu's tone did not fluctuate at all. It seemed that she was not very interested in this. As an employee of the same company, I naturally hope that Miss Wen's drama will be a hit. But I have to remind Miss Wen not to forget the bet you made with Mr. Dou. When Jinping's face turned pale, she said stiffly, I don't quite understand what you mean. Miss Wen, you promised Mr. Dou that as long as you were the female lead of the drama, you would be able to shoulder the ratings. Even if you couldn't generate revenue, you wouldn't let the drama suffer a loss. But now, the drama has just been released. Everything is unknown. When Jinping's head was covered in cold sweat, she interrupted Li Yu before she could finish speaking. Li Yu was silent for a moment. Then she suddenly laughed. Miss Wen is right. The drama has just been released. Everything is unknown. I just want to remind Miss Wen that if the ratings for the later stages of the drama really rise like you said, it'll be fine if the initial investment is recouped. But if it loses money, I'm afraid Miss Wen will have to find a way to cover the losses yourself. Why? When Jinping was so scared that she blurted out in a fishy voice. After she finished speaking, she realized that it was inappropriate and hurriedly tried to salvage the situation. I mean, the success or failure of a TV series is not just about the heroine. What you just said is. The success or failure of a drama isn't just a matter of one person. But Miss Wen seems to have forgotten that you were the one who personally made this bet with Mr. Dou. Could it be that Miss Wen wants to go back on her word now? No, I didn't mean that. Li Yu didn't give Wen Jinping a chance to refute and continued. Also, why are the male and female leads called male and female leads? It was because they had the most scenes in the drama and were the most popular. In other words, they were here to boost the viewership ratings. Unfortunately, your drama is a female lead drama, so no one else has as many scenes as you do. To put it bluntly, as the female lead of a major female lead drama, if you can't even handle the viewership ratings, what kind of female lead are you? Now that the ratings of the drama are not increasing, and the investors are losing money, who else can I blame but you? Miss Wen, please be clear about one thing. I'm here to inform you, not to discuss it with you. You only have two choices. 1. Pray that the drama can really come back from the dead and boost the viewership ratings. 2. Work hard to earn money and pay the compensation. Otherwise, I'm afraid you can't bear the consequences. Chapter 996. Li Yu didn't give Wen Jinping a chance to respond and immediately hung up. Wen Jinping's face darkened when she heard the busy tone. She tried to hold it in, but in the end she couldn't take it anymore and smashed everything in her hands. After venting her anger by smashing things, Wen Jinping turned her anger to the system. She gritted her teeth and said, "Useless trash, this is your so-called male lead. You still won't let me untie him. Do you want him to kill me?" The system was angered by Wen Jinping's shameless behavior and said coldly, "Host, please understand that the second male lead was chosen by the host. It has nothing to do with the system. Wen Jingping choked and her face darkened. How many times have I said it? I never chose him. It was you guys who made the decision for me. I don't admit it. The system chuckled and shut up. After that, no matter how Wen Jingping poked it, it refused to talk to her. Wen Jingping complained to no avail and even made herself angry. But when she thought about what Liu had said, Wen Jingping couldn't help but feel afraid. She knew better than anyone else how much money was invested in Empress. Wen Jingping didn't even dare to think about how much money she would have to pay if the ratings of the show weren't ideal. It was definitely an astronomical figure that Wen Jingping didn't even dare to think about. How could he treat me like this? How could he treat me like this? Wen Jingping hugged her chest and felt cold all over. She couldn't understand how things had turned out like this. Obviously, someone else had latched onto a powerful thigh and wealth was within reach. She, on the other hand, had been running around for so long and didn't get anything. Instead, she got scolded and inexplicably had a huge debt on her back. Why was it like this? Dou Channy had treated her very well in the beginning. He liked to eat her cooking and personally arranged accommodation for her. He even helped her avoid Huo Xiaofeng's harassment. She was afraid of him, but she was also secretly happy that he treated her differently. But why did it suddenly change? Wen Jingping still could not figure out why Dou Channy would suddenly abandon her and not even want to see her face. When exactly did the problem start to appear? Come to think of it, every time she thought she was about to succeed, there would be all kinds of accidents. Ding Juecy was one of them this time and so was Dou Channy. However, if they really wanted to look into it, it seemed to have started from Huo Xiaofeng. First it was the talent show. Then something happened to Huo Xiaofeng's family. Everything seemed to have been forcefully pushed off the original track by a large hand, causing her efforts to be in vain. The culprit seemed to be Huo Xiaofeng's ex-fiancée Miss Su. Wen Jingping's not-so-smart brain suddenly became smart for once. Thinking about it carefully, everything seemed to have suddenly changed when Huo Xiaofeng broke off his engagement with Miss Su. After that, Miss Su married Huo Xiaofeng's youngest uncle and easily got a management company. This management company was the main investor of the show she participated in. In order to stay, she had a conflict with the artists of this management company. After that, Huo Xiaofeng was suddenly kicked out of the Huo group and stripped of his inheritance rights. Huo Xiaofeng's youngest uncle's legs suddenly recovered. He took the company back from Huo Xiaofeng's father and kicked him out of the company. According to the system, Huo Xiaofeng originally had the male lead script. How could he be kicked out so easily? Miss Su and Huo Xiaofeng's uncle were definitely suspicious. Chapter 997. However, so what if Wen Jingping knew that there was something wrong with Su Yiyan? She could not even protect herself in her current situation, let alone find trouble with Su Yiyan and Li Wuyo. Thinking of the huge debt she was about to bear, Wen Jingping was afraid and resentful. She could only pin all her hopes on the last straw. No, I can't just admit defeat. So much money. Where am I going to find so much money? Wen Jingping paced back and forth with a pale face. Suddenly, she seemed to have thought of something and her eyes lit up. Yin Jihong, yes, as long as he's willing to help. There's still a chance for everything to turn around. After Ding Juecy's accident, Wen Jingping exchanged all the goodwill she had gained from Ding Juecy into props and threw them all to Yin Jihong. This made Yin Jihong's attitude towards her change significantly, allowing her to stay alone in the crew and not be affected by Ding Juecy's scandal. Now, Wen Jingping had no other choice. Yin Jihong was her last hope. As long as she caught him and made him loyal to her, she could make a comeback. Understanding this, Wen Jingping gritted her teeth and decided to use some extreme means. Su Yiyan didn't know about the twists and turns inside Hai Yi, let alone that Wen Jingping had been forced into a desperate situation and accidentally suspected her. Following the popularity of Dancing Red, Su Yiyan also welcomed an uninvited guest. Director Luo Anti-Song, why are you here? Su Yiyan looked at the few elders sitting in the hall, blinked, and took the initiative to ask, "These are, President Su is back." As soon as Su Yiyan finished speaking, Luo Baoging and the others didn't say anything. Xia Ningxi had already stood up and rushed to Su Yiyan's side. Her eyes were shining and she smiled a little foolishly. Su Yiyan had goosebumps from her smile and instinctively took a step back. Just as he was wondering what had happened to the little girl, he heard her lower her voice and shout excitedly, "Host, Su Yiyan." Alright, the case was solved. Someone had tipped them off. She shouldn't have trusted that brat from the Lan family too much. You know? Did Missin tell you that? Su Yiyan's words were tantamount to admitting that Xia Ningxi called him a streamer just now. The light in Xianingxi's eyes became brighter. If it weren't for the elders on the scene, she would have rushed forward to give Su Yiyan a big kiss. Xianingxi kept nodding while flattering Su Yiyan with tears in her eyes. I didn't expect it to be you. Sob 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 sob, did I succeed in chasing after my idol? No, the streamer is Dongcheng's boss. I've worked with Dongcheng before. Therefore, the streamer is also my boss. Streamer, does your company still need screenwriters? You'll bring your own script, work hard without complaint, and don't need a salary. You'll only need to pay for 3 meals. Su Yiyan laughed and said helplessly, our company doesn't provide 3 meals. 1 meal is fine, or 1 meal a week. I'll pay for it out of my own pocket. I only need a number. Xianingxi was afraid that Su Yiyan would refuse. She looked up at Su Yiyan eagerly and tried to sell herself. The streamer has promoted employee benefits in the live broadcast room before, right? I don't ask for much and it doesn't need to be free. I can pay for it. I just want to be able to cut in the employee queue. Once a week, no, once a month I'll get a number. Streamer, please accept me as a diligent and lovable social animal. Su Yiyan. No, girl, do your family know that you're selling yourself so conscientiously? Chapter 998. In the end, it was Song Linghua who took the initiative to speak up and rescue Su Yiyan from the awkward atmosphere of being chased after by fanatical fans. What are you whispering about over there? Why don't you share it with us elders? Su Yiyan seemed to wake up from a dream. She smiled faintly and looked at them. I'm telling Miss Xia about the drama we've been broadcasting recently. I saw that the reviews online for this drama are very good and the ratings are very high. It's all thanks to you, Director Luo, Miss Xia, and the rest of the crew. When Luo Baoging heard Su Yiyan praise their drama, he looked a little proud. However, he said, it's mainly because your company's investment is in place. It's not surprising that it's such a good drama after spending so much money. Director Luo is too modest. Nowadays it's not like you can make a good drama just by spending money. Let's not talk about the distant ones. Just look at the terrible drama next door. They spent no less money than our drama, but what happened in the end? Look at how many people on the internet are saying that they're good. It's all because they don't have good directors and consultants like you and Andy Song. No matter how good the actors and the script are, it's all ruined. Speaking of the recent success of Red Brave, the person who regretted it the most was director Pan Yuan, who was originally invited by Dongqing Entertainment to direct the drama, but later broke the contract and jumped ship to Hai Yi. Director Pan initially promised to direct Red Singer, but on the eve of the contract signing, he jumped to Hai Yi and announced that he would direct The Empress. He openly helped Hai Yi to backstab Dongcheng. In fact, the reason he was willing to jump ship was very simple. Compared to Dongcheng, Hai Yi gave him more remuneration, more promises, and more generous treatment. However, when he joined the crew, he realized that he had been tricked. Hai Yi did give him more remuneration, but in exchange, the company took away most of his rights as a director. They were both big historical dramas, but Dongqing didn't interfere with the selection of the crew, the scriptwriter's adaptation of the plot, or even the replacement of the actors. He had given Luo Baoging almost all of the rights in the production team, giving him the greatest amount of trust. Hai Yi was different. From the casting of actors to the plot, and even some friction during the filming process, the director had almost no say in it. The final result was that the drama wasn't very good. The ratings weren't good, and many of Hai Yi's empty promises couldn't be fulfilled. In addition, in order to step on Dongcheng, Hai Yi Entertainment had publicized the fact that he directed Empress to everyone. Outsiders might not understand, but insiders could see the knack of it at a glance. It would have been fine if he had done a good job in the drama. After all, people in this industry worship the strong and trampled on the weak. As long as you stood at the top, your character was secondary. But the truth was that he had messed up. He had lost all his face. One could only imagine what awaited him in the future. All right, you two can stop flattering each other. Song Linghua couldn't stand the two of them bragging about each other. She pulled her husband aside and glared at him. Let's get down to business. Yes, let's get down to business. After being glared at by his wife, Luo Baoging remembered the purpose of today's visit. He coughed softly and said, Little Su, we're here today to ask for your help. What's the matter? It's like this. These two are old friends of ours. Song Linghua pointed to the two elders who were about the same age as them and introduced them. One of their juniors had an accident 2 years ago and was injured. We heard about it by chance and thought that you might be able to help her, so. Chapter 999. She heard something by chance? Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and glanced at Xia Ningxi as if she sensed something. Xia Ningxi looked at the sky and the ground with a guilty conscience, but she didn't dare to look at Su Yiyan. She just heard Song Linghua and others talk about this, and she couldn't hold back her desire to promote her idol. She didn't expect that her momentary hot-headedness seemed to have caused trouble for the host. Would the host hate her because of this? Woo woo woo. Su Yiyan saw Xia Ningxi's reaction and understood everything in her heart. She smiled and said, "It's rare for Auntie Song to open her mouth. If I can help, I won't refuse. I just don't know what Auntie Song is talking about." Song Linghua didn't speak, but glanced at the two old people next to her. The two understood and hurriedly got up and said, "Hello, Miss Su. We are friends of Baoging and Linghua. My surname is Li and this is my lover." "Hello, Uncle Li." Uncle Li was about the same age as Luo Baoging. It was reasonable to say that Su Yiyan should be more than enough to call him grandpa. However, Su Yiyan had been accustomed to being one generation higher than her peers since she married Huo Chenhuan. Song Linghua and Huo Chenhuan's parents were old friends. Su Yiyan called him uncle according to their seniority. Grandpa Li was somewhat surprised when he learned that Su Yiyan was the person they were looking for. After all, in his opinion, Su Yiyan was a little too young. Even when he spoke to Su Yiyan, he was a little more restrained. Su Yiyan's call of uncle comforted his embarrassment in a timely manner. His tone relaxed a little. "Here's the thing. This is my granddaughter. Her name is Lian Nam. She used to be a singer." "Singer?" Su Yiyan subconsciously glanced at the young man sitting beside the two old men. In fact, Su Yiyan had noticed this person as soon as he entered the door. There was no other reason than the fact that the weather was not particularly cold, but this person was wrapped up tightly from head to toe, with almost no flesh exposed. Even his face only revealed a pair of lifeless eyes. It looked inexplicably strange. Seeing Su Yiyan's curiosity about his granddaughter, Grandpa Li's eyes flashed with a touch of sadness. He took the initiative to explain, and Nan had an accident when she went abroad to perform 3 years ago. The performance venue suddenly caught on fire. The fire spread very quickly and soon reached the lounge where Nan was. When Grandpa Li said this, Lian Nam's dead eyes moved slightly, and one could faintly see his unwillingness and resentment. Although the rescue team arrived in time and Nan barely survived, the fire still left her with scars all over her body and took away her throat. Hearing this, Su Yiyan narrowed his eyes. He could roughly guess why these people were looking for him. He also finally understood why the person in front of him was wrapped up so tightly. Fire can be really scary sometimes. A girl, a singer, survived the fire, but her face was disfigured and she lost the voice that she was so proud of. No one could tell whether this was a blessing or a misfortune. Su Yiyan looked into the other's lifeless eyes and felt a rare bit of compassion. He probed, "Can I see her injuries?" When Su Yiyan said this, Lian Nam suddenly trembled and subconsciously reached out to cover her face. Obviously, she was very resistant to the idea of showing her burns in front of a stranger. Chapter 1000. Grandma Li was sitting next to Lian Nam. She quickly hugged her granddaughter and comforted her gently. Su Yiyan did not expect her to react so strongly. She touched her nose and said awkwardly, "If you feel offended, then forget it." Grandpa Li frowned and hesitated. No matter how much he doubted Su Yiyan's ability, they came today with a glimmer of hope. If they did not even show her the wound, how could they ask for help? Thinking of this, Grandpa Li finally stopped hesitating. He walked up to his granddaughter and said in a hoarse voice, "And Nan, let's just let Miss Su take a look. Just one look. Grandpa knows that you're upset and that you don't want anyone to see your face, but Miss Su is not just anyone. Maybe she really has a way. Don't be afraid, Grandpa and Grandma are here." Song Linghua and the others quickly said, "That's right, and Nan. If you mind, we can leave. Just let little Su stay behind and take a look for you, okay?" Song Linghua and her husband were old acquaintances with Grandpa Li and his wife. They had been in contact with each other all these years. Therefore, they doted on each other's juniors. Otherwise, they would not have put aside their pride and come to Su Yiyan for help. Lian Nam listened to everyone's words. Not only did she not calm down, but she reacted even more strongly. She clutched the edge of the gauze tightly and her whole body tensed up. She was like a fully drawn bow that could break at any time. Seeing this, the elders also felt a little distressed and decided to retreat at the same time. At this moment, the child's cries suddenly rang out, breaking the tense atmosphere in the room. When Su Yiyan heard the crying, she did not care about the guests present. She quickly went up and took the child from the nanny. What's wrong? Do you miss your mommy? Kiss kiss muon muon, don't cry don't cry. The child's temper came and went quickly. After being coaxed by Su Yiyan for a while, he stopped crying. He sobbed and grabbed onto Su Yiyan's clothes, looking extremely pitiful. Woof woof. Dun Dun and its silly son were still circling around Su Yiyan's feet, barking incessantly. When the little guy heard the dog barking, he pouted his mouth and was about to cry again. He looked as if he had been greatly wronged. Seeing him like this, Su Yiyan immediately became nervous and asked in a low voice, "Why are you crying again? Did Dun Dun and the others bully you? Tell Mama, Mama will help you vent your anger." The little guy seemed to understand his mother's words. He waved his little chubby hand that was like a lotus root and cried out non-stop. It was as if he was complaining. The nanny at the side explained in a timely manner, "Just now, I brought little young master to play with the pink ball that young madam bought previously. Little young master likes that ball very much. Every time he finishes drinking milk, he must pat that ball." Perhaps because he was particularly happy today, he used a little too much strength to pat the ball and it flew away. I was about to carry him over to pick it up when silly boy ran out from somewhere. He bit the ball and ran away. Later, I don't know where he hid it. I couldn't find it no matter how hard I tried. Little young master cried. Su Yiyan really did not expect such a thing. She was angry and amused at the same time. She lowered her head and rubbed her son's chubby face. Okay, it's just a small toy. Let silly boy bite it back for you. It's fine if you can't find it back. Mama will buy you a new one." Crying over such a small thing? I didn't expect our baby to be such a crybaby. Umph. The little guy was poked in the nose by his mother and snorted in dissatisfaction. He buried himself in Su Yiyan's arms and was unwilling to look up. Chapter 1001. Xianingxi couldn't help but laugh when she heard Su Yiyan's words. She squatted beside the two dogs and said in surprise, "Host, your dog is called Silly Boy? This corgi does look like an iron silly boy. It doesn't feel like a corgi but more like a husky." Silly Boy didn't know that he was being laughed at. He looked up and stuck out his tongue at Xianingxi. Dun Dun patted his son's head in disappointment. To prevent him from continuing to be stupid in front of the guests, he picked up his destiny by the scruff of his neck and ran away with his short legs. Xianingxi looked at the backs of the two dogs, one big and one small, and laughed. "I heard people say that corgis have short legs and run like moving little meatballs. I didn't believe it. Today I found that this saying is reasonable, ha ha ha." Su Yiyan. "Girl, your laughter is too wild. Be careful that they come back to bite you. Don't you know that corgis hate it when people say that they have short legs?" After such a small episode, the faces of the elders who were originally frowning couldn't help but show some smiles. Grandma Li looked at Su Yiyan, who was holding the child not far away. When she turned her head, she found that Li Nam had calmed down and was staring at the chubby boy in Su Yiyan's arms. Grandma Li was slightly stunned. Then she thought of something and her eyes turned red. After Su Yiyan coaxed the child, she turned her attention back to the guests. To be precise, she focused on Li Nam. "Have you thought about it? If it's too much, let's call it a day. Go back and discuss it before you make a decision." Su Yiyan didn't have the habit of forcing people, nor did she have the overflowing heart of a saint. Today these people had asked her for help. Before coming, they didn't know to reach a consensus. They waited until they came. Even if Li Nam was really pitiful, Su Yiyan felt that she didn't need to rush to ask people to do this test. I'm willing to show it to you, but only you." As soon as he said this, the room fell silent again. Li Nam's voice was not pleasant to the ears. It was as hoarse as a car tire running over gravel. It was low and sounded like it was being torn apart. After listening to it too much, it always made people feel uncomfortable. Ever since her throat had been damaged by the fire, Li Annan had rarely spoken. This was the reason why she rarely spoke. Grandpa Li was the first to react. He said emotionally, Okay. It's good that you're willing. Miss Su, what do you think?" Su Yiyan didn't expect Li Annam's attitude to change so quickly. He looked at her suspiciously. "There is a guest room downstairs. You come with me. The others wait outside." Su Yiyan naturally couldn't hold the child in her arms when she went in for a checkup. She handed the child over to Uncle Zhang for the time being and asked him to help greet the guests in the hall. "Host, can I play with your baby for a while?" Xianingxi looked at the chubby baby in the cradle with shining eyes, and her excitement was beyond words. Today not only did she see a live host, but she also saw the host's legendary baby. Her life was complete. Su Yiyan saw Xia Ningxi's little thoughts and didn't stop her. Okay, but my baby is a little afraid of strangers. He likes to be noisy. You can just watch. Don't touch him. If you make him cry, no one can coax him. Xia Ningxi hurriedly said, Okay, I'll just watch. I promise I won't touch him. Chapter 1002. The guest room on the first floor was right next to the living room. Su Yiyan led Lian Nam into the room. She looked at the open window in the room and asked in a low voice, Do you want me to close the window? Lian Nam pursed her lips and nodded slightly. Su Yiyan didn't mind. She walked over to close the window and drew the curtains. Fortunately, the sky wasn't completely dark yet. The curtains in the room were thin and allowed light to pass through. Even with all the curtains drawn, she could still see the furnishings in the room and the faces of the people around her with the faint light. Su Yiyan closed the curtains and returned to the bedside. She heard Lian Nam say with her head slightly lowered, Thank you. You're welcome. Do you want to do it yourself, or do you want me to help you? Lian Nam's body stiffened when she heard that. Her hands that were hanging by her side subconsciously tightened. The two of them were in a deadlock for a while. Lian Nam's hands trembled as she slowly removed the bandages covering her face and neck. When the last layer of bandages fell off, Su Yiyan realized that the person in front of her was much more severely burned than she had imagined. The excessive burns left scars and pink keloids on her face. There were some signs of shrinkage in the depths of her cheeks and chin, making her facial features look strange. If she suddenly saw such a face at night without any mental preparation, she would most likely be frightened and might even have nightmares. No wonder she had such a big reaction when she said that she wanted to see her injuries. If it were her, she wouldn't want anyone to see her in such a hideous state. No, to be precise, if she had become like this, Su Yiyan wasn't sure if she would have the courage to continue living. After a short moment of shock, Su Yiyan took the initiative to walk to Lian Nam's side and asked in a low voice, Can I touch it? Lian Nam clenched her hands into fists. She resisted the urge to wrap the bandages back and nodded slightly. She didn't even dare to look at Su Yiyan. She was afraid that she would see fear and disgust in her eyes. She was even more afraid of seeing her own ugly and twisted face in her eyes. Su Yiyan got Lian Nam's permission and reached out to touch her face. She carefully felt the keloids and some uneven scars on her fingertips. You have these on your body too? Yes. It's that serious? Yes. Su Yiyan muttered, It's a little troublesome. The light in Lian Nam's eyes dimmed instantly. Su Yiyan didn't try to comfort Lian Nam to comfort. She said, I can't just rely on myself, your injuries, I can't do it. From the scars on your face, I can see that after you were rescued, you should have quickly undergone skin grafting surgery. This is correct. Your burns are too severe. If we don't stop the wounds from festering, we won't be able to save your life. But skin grafting can only heal your external wounds. Skin grafting alone won't be able to heal the burns that are too deep. The only choice you have now is plastic surgery. Fill this part back to its original state and stretch the skin. Lian Nam was silent for a long time and said, I know it's useless. Over the years, her family had never given up on finding a better treatment for her injuries as well as her face. Lian Nam had heard what Su Yiyan had just said from several doctors before. Chapter 1003. It was the same statement, but at the end it would be followed by the same warning. After plastic surgery there would be scars. Just like when she was severely burned and had to undergo skin grafting surgery, which resulted in scars all over her body. She did not look like a human but more like a broken doll that had been stitched together. The so-called plastic surgery was nothing more than making her look less like a ghost. Are you talking about the scarring after the surgery? This is indeed unavoidable. After all, the burns on her body had already penetrated deep into her subcutaneous tissues. It was basically impossible for her to completely recover to her original state. But there is still some room for manipulation for this scar. Lian Nam's body trembled. Her eyes widened in surprise and anticipation as she looked at Su Yiyan. You mean you can help me get rid of these ugly scars? I can't guarantee that it will be completely removed. Su Yiyan glanced at the scars on her face. But it should be able to fade them. Fade them? Lian Nam's hands subconsciously tightened. To what extent? I can't say for sure, but it should be able to fade to the point where it can be covered with makeup. Upon hearing this, Lian Nam finally could not hold it in anymore. She stood up and stared at Su Yiyan with burning eyes. Really? Su Yiyan rolled her eyes. She could not be bothered to argue with Lian Nam on this topic. Even an experienced doctor could not guarantee that he could cure every illness and that there would be results for every illness, especially irreversible injuries like Lian Nam's. If you think that I'm boasting to fool you, you can choose not to believe me. Lian Nam was silent for a while. Just when Su Yiyan thought that she would refuse to cooperate or seriously consider for a period of time like before, she suddenly heard her ask in a hoarse voice, "Did you treat Chirue and Jinyo's illness?" Su Yiyan was stunned. She did not expect that she actually knew Ning Chirue, but Jinyu? Was there anyone she knew by this name? Seeing Su Yiyan's confusion, Lian Nam's expression changed a little. He coughed softly and said, "Jinyu and Chirue are good friends. He once looked for you in the hospital and asked you to treat him. That's right. There was a period of time when he wasn't very good in that aspect." It took Su Yiyan a few seconds to figure out what he meant by not being able to do that. Finally she recalled who Jinyu was that Lian Nam mentioned. "What's him?" Su Yiyan seemed to have thought of something and couldn't help laughing. "How is he now?" And cough cough. Lian Nam was unusually calm when discussing this topic with Su Yiyan. He said calmly, "It's pretty good. He used to be a playboy, changing girlfriends like changing clothes. If he didn't have clothes he could run naked at most. If he didn't have a woman he might die." Chirue often scolded him for being a teddy bear. After this incident, he suddenly turned over a new leaf and cultivated his character. In the past 1 or 2 years he hasn't had many girlfriends. It's rare that he's chaste. If not for this they wouldn't have realized that something was wrong. Su Yiyan heard Lian Nam's words and raised her eyebrows. She smiled faintly and said, "You have a good relationship with him? He even told you about this kind of thing." When it came to a man's dignity, most people couldn't wait to hide it. Who would tell a female friend so openly? "We grew up together." It slipped out of my mouth. Su Yiyan nodded in understanding. "So, you're willing to come to me because of the two of them?" Chapter 1004. Yes. If that's the case, why are you asking so many questions? Lian Nam pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Su Yiyan sighed when she saw this. She could understand her concerns. "Open your mouth and let me take a look at your throat." Lian Nam was stunned. She suddenly grabbed Su Yiyan's hand and said excitedly, "My throat? Is there a way to recover?" Su Yiyan couldn't help but roll her eyes at her. "I haven't even seen it yet. How would I know if it can be cured? Let's see first." As Su Yiyan spoke, she pried open Lian Nam's mouth. Perhaps because she was hopeful, Lian Nam was very cooperative this time. She opened her mouth so that Su Yiyan could see the situation inside. Su Yiyan took a few simple glances. In fact, it was just a formality. She had already activated her gaze skill and scanned the position of Lian Nam's throat. "Your throat must have been affected by the smoke. Later on you didn't take good care of it, so it became like this. If you take good care of it, there should still be hope." Perhaps because her throat was inside, Lian Nam had inhaled too much smoke and damaged her throat. With a few prescriptions and long-term recuperation, it could still be improved. At least it was much easier to treat this than the burns on her body. Lian Nam's eyes lit up slightly. "Then in the future, can I still sing?" Su Yiyan was stunned for a moment. She took a deep look at the person in front of her. She could tell that this person really liked singing. She wasn't even this excited when she was talking about treating her burns. As someone who regarded singing as her life's work, after this fire, her face was ruined, and her voice, which could make her dream come true, was also gone. She had become neither human nor ghost, so she couldn't be blamed for being so lifeless before. "If you talk for too long or if you talk too much, your throat will hurt, right? I can't guarantee that you'll be able to sing in the future, or to what extent you'll be able to sing. But at the very least, I'll be able to make your speech not sound as unpleasant and strenuous as it is now." What Su Yiyan didn't say was that with her current situation, even if she was cured, her voice would definitely change. But for singing this shouldn't be a big problem. After all, a smoker's voice was quite popular these days. She believed that as long as Lian Nam had the heart to continue singing, he would find the right path for his voice sooner or later. Of course, if she couldn't even accept this, then there was nothing she could do. "Of course, if you think my promise is too vague, you can choose not to believe it." "I believe you." As soon as Su Yiyan finished speaking, Lian Nam quickly spoke up. That pair of eyes that were originally as calm as a pool of stagnant water finally had a faint ripple because they saw hope, and there was also a bit of vitality that they didn't have before. Lian Nam reached out and touched his face. No matter what, it can't be worse than it is now. I'm willing to take a gamble. If you can do what you said just now, then you'll be my benefactor. For the next few decades, my life will be given to me by you. I'll do anything you ask of me. Ever since the fire happened, Lian Nam had thought of dying countless times. She used to be so dazzling. Her family was well off, her family was happy, her grades were excellent, and she had countless pursuers. Her biggest wish was to one day become as capable and famous as her aunt, a singer who was loved by countless people. For this goal, no matter how much pain she suffered, it would be happiness for her. Chapter 1005. In fact, she was rewarded for her efforts. Because of her singing, more and more people liked her, followed her, and supported her. She brought home trophies after trophies, which also announced that she was getting closer to her goal. But in the end, all of this was burned down because of a big fire. After the accident, Lian Nam went on a hunger strike, cut her wrists, and even tried to jump down from a tall building, but she was stopped. After many failed attempts to commit suicide, Lian Nam looked at her crying mother in despair, and her father who had aged a lot overnight, even his back was hunched. She suddenly realized that her parents had spent so much effort to pull her back from the gates of hell. They didn't want her to give up on herself so easily and die without knowing why. Since then, Lian Nam didn't try to commit suicide. Her body survived, but her soul died in the fire. But now, she suddenly realized that maybe her soul didn't die, but was sealed in a corner of her body, waiting for someone to save it and wake it up. If Su Yiyan could really do what she said just now and let her sing again. Even if she couldn't return to the stage because of her injuries, she would treat her as her second parent and do everything she could for her. Su Yiyan heard her words and couldn't help but laugh. Why would I want your life? Your life was given to you by your parents, whether it was in the past or now. The reason why I'm willing to help you is because I want to give Auntie Song some face, and also because you look a little pitiful. To be honest, my man's life was almost ruined because of an accident. Looking at you makes me feel a little sympathetic. Su Yiyan sighed. Sigh, I can't help it. Whenever I encounter something related to him, my heart softens easily. Lian Nam. Did she just eat a mouthful of dog food without warning? Lian Nam was silent for a moment, and then she revealed a rare smile. But because of the injuries on her face, this smile looked more or less scary. However, Su Yiyan could still feel that the person in front of him, who had been tense ever since he entered the room, had relaxed a little at this moment. In the past 2 to 3 years, although Lian Nam did not come into contact with many people, he was very sensitive to the emotions and gazes of the people around him because of his physical condition. Especially the doctors who were hired by her parents to treat her. They looked at her with pity, sympathy, and pity. 1 or 2 of them even thought that they hid the disgust in their eyes well. In their eyes, he was a porcelain doll that they could not do anything to and could not afford to offend. He might break with a touch, and if he broke they would not be able to pay for it. Therefore, be it sympathy or disgust, most of these people treated her very carefully. No one was like Su Yiyan. There was no fear or disgust in her eyes when she looked at him. It was as if she was just an ordinary patient who needed treatment and did not need any special treatment. Even if there was a little bit of sympathy, he would be frank and honest. There was no need to beat around the bush, for fear that a wrong choice of words would stimulate her sensitive nerves. She had not experienced this kind of feeling in a long time. Su Yiyan did not know that her straightforward words made the person in front of her lower her guard a little. She touched her chin and pondered for a moment, then clapped her hands and said, "How about this? If you really want to repay me when you get better, if you still want to continue singing, you can join my company." Chapter 1006. As soon as Su Yiyan said this, the room fell silent. The two of them stared at each other for a long time. Su Yiyan mistakenly thought that the other party was unwilling and realized that her words were a bit abrupt. She took the initiative to save face and said, "It's okay if you don't want to. A singer like you is probably not suitable for a management company like ours." "I was wrong. Please don't take it to heart." Lian Nam shook his head. "I'm not unwilling. I just suddenly remembered that Chirui mentioned you to me before. He said that you often like to sign patients or their family members into the company. Your hobby is a bit special." "Su Yiyan? What do you mean by I like to sign patients or their family members into the company? Clearly, you people have a favor to ask of me, so I took advantage of the situation and signed people. How did it become my fault in the end? I didn't do it. Don't talk nonsense. You come to me for free food and drink and dare to spread rumors about me behind my back. I think you have too little work and too much free time. Ning Chirue, who had no idea that he had been sold, was squatting miserably in a remote ravine, feeding mosquitoes while reminiscing about the barbecue that he had cheated his boss into bringing home. His saliva was almost dripping out of his mouth. Suddenly, a gust of cold wind blew. Ning Chirue felt cold all over and shivered. Why was the valley so cold at night? If he had known earlier, he would have brought more thick clothes. It was too difficult for him. Su Yiyin and Lian Nam did not stay in the house for long. It was less than half an hour, but the people waiting outside felt like a lifetime. When the two finally came out of the house, Grandpa Li and Grandma Li rushed over immediately and surrounded their granddaughter with concern. How are you? Anan, are you okay? What can happen to her? Su Yiyin laughed. I just went in to take a look. Do you think I'll eat her up? The two elders looked embarrassed, but they could not help but be curious. Miss Su and Nan Shi, the scars can be removed and the throat can be treated, but I can't do anything about the keloids on her face. I can only do surgery. The two were excited when they heard the first half of Su Yiyin's words, but they were a little embarrassed when they heard the second half. I'm willing to operate. Grandpa Li was stunned for a moment before he realized what his granddaughter had said. He was so excited that he held his granddaughter's hand tightly and said, Okay. As long as you are willing, Grandpa will ask your parents to find you the best plastic surgeon when we go back. Yes. Su Yiyin still needed to consider the ointment to remove scars and the prescription to treat her throat. It was impossible to produce them right away. In addition, for Lian Nam's throat to recover, he would need acupuncture for a period of time as an auxiliary treatment. Su Yiyin confirmed the time of the first treatment with them, and they did not continue to disturb him. After thanking him, they prepared to leave. Su Yiyin sent them out with the child in her arms. When they parted, she suddenly stopped Xia Ningxi and asked with a smile, Chirue said that you don't have a good appetite before, so he specially ordered a barbecue and a beggar's chicken from my restaurant. I don't know if they suit your taste. How's your appetite lately? Xia Ningxi was stunned. Only then did she realize that her boyfriend was an artist of Su Yiyin's company. They knew each other and were very close. Did he ask you for the barbecue and the beggar's chicken? He also said that I don't have a good appetite? Yes, he said that you don't have a good appetite and everything you eat is not delicious. He was very worried about you, so he specially came to me to ask for these two. I saw that he cared about you so much and it was not a big deal anyway, so I agreed. Chapter 1007. The expression on Xia Ningxi's face suddenly froze, and it took a while for her to find her voice. So, he already knew that you were the host? Probably. Even if he didn't notice it before, after the barbecue last time, he took the initiative to ask her for food. No matter how slow he was, he should have noticed it. Su Yiyin did not dwell on this topic. He looked up and asked Xia Ningxi, didn't he tell you? Tell her what? Tell her that he knew that her boss was the host, and that she had always admired the host and wanted to meet her. But for so long, he had never thought of telling her the identity of the host? Or tell her that this bastard used her name to swindle and deceive her. After he was done, he even lied to her that he had spent a lot of effort to buy those things from the host's store to share with her, and that she was so touched that she didn't want it anymore? When she thought of someone who knew the truth but chose not to say it, deliberately watching her make a fool of herself, Xia Ningxi was so angry that she wanted to grind her teeth on the spot. Su Yiyin saw that she didn't say anything. He frowned slightly and said, Oh, I forgot. You knew it from Missin. So he didn't tell you. Maybe he forgot. How could he forget such an important thing? Xia Ningxi only felt that her little heart had been stabbed with a knife. Su Yiyin seemed to be unaware and continued, Speaking of this, Chirue is now the backbone of our company. You are his girlfriend. Strictly speaking, you are also an employee's family member, so you can enjoy employee benefits. If you just want to jump the queue and get a number, you don't have to enter the company. If Xia Ningxi had heard Su Yiyin's words half an hour ago, she would have been so happy that she would have jumped on the spot. In Xia Ningxi's ears, these words were tantamount to adding fuel to the fire, and the fire in Xia Ningxi's heart was ignited. This big liar full of lies, you are dead. Achoo. The evening wind in the mountains was always cool, but it also brought with it a creepy whimper. Ning Chirue hugged his chest with his hands and couldn't help but shiver. It's over. This gully is so cold when it gets dark. If I stay here all night, I'm afraid I will catch a cold tomorrow. At the thought of this, Ning Chirue's face fell. So why was he so stubborn? Why did he give up his comfortable life and come to this remote place to suffer? Not to mention that Ning Chirue, who was experiencing a tragedy, did not know that there was an even more terrible tragedy waiting for him 2 days later. Su Yiyan was in a good mood after successfully swindling the guy who spoke ill of her behind her back. She hugged her soft little son and kissed him a few times, making the little guy giggle. When Huo Chenhuan returned home and saw this scene, her originally flat lips couldn't help but curl up a little. She slowly walked behind the two of them and hugged them. Su Yiyan was startled. He turned to look at him and said with a faint smile, "You're back." Huo Chenhuan responded in a low voice and leaned over to kiss Su Yiyan's forehead naturally. The baby in Su Yiyan's arms looked at this scene with his big eyes. Suddenly he raised his hand and cried out, trying to attract the attention of his parents. Sure enough, as soon as Su Yiyan heard his cry, she immediately looked down and chuckled. "Baby, are you jealous because you saw Daddy kissing Mommy?" "Ah woo woo woo." The little guy's little chubby hand clenched into a fist, shaking and waving, as if agreeing with his mother's words. Chapter 1008. A smile flashed across Su Yiyan's eyes. Then he handed the chubby baby in his hand to Huo Chenhuan, indicating that he should quickly kiss the child and let him feel a certain someone's strong fatherly love. Huo Chenhuan saw through Su Yiyan's little thoughts at a glance. Although he looked helpless, he still followed Su Yiyan's instructions and lowered his head to kiss the little guy. The little guy was stunned for a moment after being kissed. He raised his hand and slapped Huo Chenhuan's face. Although it was called a slap, the child's strength was only that much. When the slap landed on Huo Chenhuan's face, it didn't hurt or itch. It was more like a slap. Huo Chenhuan, on the other hand, was stunned by this small amount of strength. He looked at the audacious brat in surprise. Ha ha ha. Su Yiyan couldn't help but laugh when he saw this scene. He hugged his little son and rubbed against him. In a low voice he lectured, "Baby, you can't hit Daddy. If you continue like this, Daddy will get angry. Mommy will also get angry." As Su Yiyan spoke, he deliberately lowered his face to scare the little guy. The little guy rolled his big eyes as if he had sensed Su Yiyan's emotions. He quickly reached out his little chubby hand to support Su Yiyan's face and wiped the saliva off her face. Su Yiyan really didn't expect his son to be so skilled at kissing and acting like a spoiled child at such a young age. He was defeated on the spot. He hugged the baby and kissed him fiercely. When Huo Chenhuan saw this, he frowned with some jealousy. He leaned over and wanted to kiss Su Yiyan to show off his strength to this little guy who dared to compete with him for favor. Unexpectedly, just as he leaned over, the little chubby hand came as expected and slapped him in the face. It was a little strength, but it was incomparably firm and pushed him away. The two adults were stunned by the little guy's sudden slap. After a long time they burst into laughter. "Baby, do you not want Daddy to kiss Mommy? But Mommy belongs to Daddy. Daddy has the right to kiss Mommy. What should we do?" Compared to Su Yiyan's good-natured teasing, Huo Chenhuan was much more direct. He directly reached out and poked the little fellow's head, and said in an especially cold and merciless manner, "Little bastard, if you want a wife when you grow up, go and find one yourself. You want to compete with me? You're still a dozen years too early." As soon as Huo Chenhuan's words came out, not only the little fellow but even Su Yiyan, the person who was being fought over, was stunned. A few seconds later, the little guy seemed to have understood the provocation from his own father. His little mouth twitched and he used his greatest trump card and burst into tears. His cries were so loud that his face turned red. His cries reached every corner of the building, causing Uncle Zhang and the others downstairs to run over to see what was going on. After learning the ins and outs of the matter, everyone unanimously cast condemning gazes at Huo Chenhuan. Huo Chenhuan, who inexplicably felt that he was being isolated. This little bastard was indeed born to be his nemesis. Once the little fellow started crying, no one could coax him. In the end, he was tired from crying and fell asleep in Su Yiyan's arms, feeling wronged, and was carried away by the nanny. Before leaving, the nanny even looked at Huo Chenhuan with a particularly rebellious and condemning gaze. Huo Chenhuan, who felt that he had taken the blame. As soon as the little fellow left, Su Yiyan finally focused his attention back on Huo Chenhuan. He said in annoyance and amusement, "You're really too much. Why are you being so serious with a child? You've made him cry." Huo Chenhuan was already full of pent-up anger. When he heard Su Yiyan's words, he snorted in disdain. However, he didn't let go of Su Yiyan's hands, and instead tightened his grip. Chapter 1009. Kid, you know how to compete with me at such a young age. I don't know how lawless you will be when you grow up. After Huo Chenhuan finished speaking, she rested her chin on Su Yiyan's shoulder and imitated the little guy's pitiful behavior. You still blame me? Forget about the others. Didn't you see that the little bastard didn't let me kiss you just now? Don't call him a little bastard. Su Yiyan reached out and pinched Huo Chenhuan's cheek. If he's a little bastard, then what are you? A big bastard? Huo Chenhuan choked and snorted angrily. Su Yiyan was also a little helpless. This guy was obviously fine before and he liked the little guy very much at first. Why did he become more and more wrong recently? He even became jealous of the little guy. If this were to be spread out, a group of people would laugh their teeth off. Okay. When the little guy was here, he didn't let me kiss you. Now that he's not here, I'll kiss you a few more times to make up for it. Su Yiyan immediately turned his head and kissed Huo Chenhuan a few more times. Huo Chenhuan's expression became better. Although he was still a little depressed that his wife chose his son first between his son and himself, which made him a little uncomfortable, at least he didn't hate her as much as before. Su Yiyan, who had just coaxed the little baby, now had to coax the big baby. He felt a little tired. Taking advantage of Huo Chenhuan's stupor from his kiss, he quickly changed the topic. Speaking of which, Auntie Song and the others came to visit us for a while just now. Auntie Song? Huo Chenhuan frowned. What did they come for? Su Yiyan briefly explained the matter. Huo Chenhuan immediately grasped the key point. You want to help her? To be precise, I want to help those young people who have been treated unfairly because of their scars. When Su Yiyan said this, his eyes were fixed on Huo Chenhuan. If I remember correctly, you also have a few scars on your body. The car accident that year had destroyed Huo Chenhuan's legs. One could imagine how serious it was. Other than the internal injuries on his legs, Huo Chenhuan's body was still covered with many external injuries from the car accident back then. Huo Chenhuan was stunned. She grabbed Su Yiyan's hand that was touching her body. She took a deep breath and said hoarsely, "It's just some small scars. It's not a big deal." Su Yiyan's hand was grabbed by Wei Xiaobao, so he did not make any more trouble. However, he did not agree with what Wei Xiaobao said. That's because your scars are all on your body. Moreover, they are relatively scattered, there is no large area connected together. If you cover them with your clothes, you won't see them. If it's on the face, arm, or calf, there will be one or two large injuries. Other things aside, girls definitely won't dare to casually wear short sleeves or miniskirts. Men tend to be more mindful of their words. I reckon they wouldn't dare to casually wear short shirts and shorts, let alone swim. When Huo Chenhuan heard what he said, the main point was a little off. If these scars were on my face back then, would you still like me? Su Yiyan pondered for a moment. That's hard to say. One or two small scars are fine. If it's a big scar, maybe. Huo Chenhuan's eyes were slightly cold. Maybe what? Maybe I won't be able to fall in love with you at first sight. Huo Chenhuan could not help laughing. So, you fell in love with me at first sight because of my face? Otherwise? Who doesn't fall in love with your face at first sight? As Su Yiyan said, he touched Huo Chenhuan's face in a particularly frivolous way. Doesn't this also indirectly show that your face is handsome and has the capital to fall in love with you at first sight? Chapter 1010. Huo Chenhuan, who was suddenly teased by his wife, didn't know whether to be angry or amused. The next second he heard Su Yiyan say faintly, "Speaking of this, I was quite curious before. You and Huo Xiaofeng are obviously family, but why do they look so ugly and you look so good? At that time, I didn't know that you were not related to them by blood, so I especially deceived myself and thought that you had a genetic mutation, or that your parents had left all the good genes to you and the bad genes to them." Su Yiyan mentioned this mainly to praise Huo Chenhuan's handsomeness. Unexpectedly, she poked Huo Chenhuan's sensitive spot, which made his face instantly gloomy. He leaned over and covered Su Yiyan's chattering mouth, swallowing all her words into his stomach. After the kiss, Huo Chenhuan buried his head in Su Yiyan's neck and angrily threatened her. "Don't mention Huo Xiaofeng in front of me." Su Yiyan was a little stunned by his kiss and then she said, "Are you jealous? He's not as good as me. Even if I hurt my face, he's not as good as me. Yes, no matter whether your face is hurt or not, in my heart, you're the best and one of a kind." Su Yiyan coaxed this huge vinegar jar without any pressure, and then she couldn't help but sigh. But those who really have scars on their faces may not have a handsome face like yours, and they may not be as lucky as you to meet someone who likes them so much that they don't care whether their face is good or not. You want to mass-produce and promote? Huan frowned. I'm afraid that's not easy. With the improvement of the quality of life, many people's enjoyment of life increased a lot. There was a dazzling array of beauty and skincare products on the market, and many of them were old brands that had a large audience. Su Yiyan had good intentions, but she was afraid that they couldn't sell at all. Losing money was a small matter, but she was afraid that it would be a waste of so much effort and affect her mood. It was not worth it. I know it's not easy, but as long as it's gold, it will always shine. My shop will release some new products from time to time. Let's try them out first. If the reviews are good, I'll increase the production. If no one wants to buy them, then forget it. It'll save me a lot of trouble. What kind of money was the easiest to earn in this world? Naturally, it was these beauty and skincare products. If a woman really cherished her face, she would spend a lot of money on it every year. Although Su Yiyan was a lazy person most of the time, she could still be excited when she needed to be. After all, no one would be stupid enough to reject money, not to mention that the store was not her business alone. Huan had never interfered with Su Yiyan in this aspect. Hearing her say so, she did not object. If you want to do it, then do it. Just don't tire yourself too much. Su Yiyan felt sweetness in her heart. She laughed and scolded, "Why are you always worried that I'm tired?" It was fine when she was pregnant, but now that the baby has been born, she's still like this. In my heart, there's nothing more important than your health. As Huan spoke, he leaned over and picked her up. He was ready to do something tiring with his wife, hoping that she would not have the chance to think of that little brat tonight. As for a second child, one was enough. Another one was impossible. It was impossible in this lifetime. Su Yiyan was full of ambition. She felt that through this scar removal ointment, she could help her to successfully start a second life in her career. At the same time, she could give her little cousin some money for milk powder. Unexpectedly, just as she was about to start, something happened to the Qing family. Chapter 10-11. What? Someone reported that grandfather received bribes and kickbacks from the research institute, and even reported that uncle was in charge of several companies for tax evasion? How is this possible? When Su Yiyan heard about this, her face darkened. She wished she could immediately fly to her grandfather's side and beat up the villain who played dirty tricks behind the scenes. Don't worry. Huan held on to the angry Su Yiyan and comforted her. It's just a report. Those people went to your uncle's company to investigate for a long time, but they didn't find anything. It's already confirmed that it was a false accusation. My uncle's side didn't find anything, but what about my grandfather? Su Yiyan's face was ugly to the extreme. This sudden incident made Su Yiyan think of her previous life. It was around this time that a so-called anonymous report brought down the two most capable people in the Qing family. Even the Qing family was ruined and scattered. It sounded like a child's play, but that was the truth. Because there was a spy in the Qing family, he colluded with outsiders and firmly pinned this groundless crime on her grandfather and uncle. This spy was unsurprisingly Qing Fenglang, who entered Qing Juanhao's company at that time and served as the company's senior executive. Although the main branch of the Qing family and the side branches didn't live together, their relationship had always been good. Most of them were willing to help if they could. Take Qing Juanhao for example. His parents and elders may be strange, but his ability was not bad. Because he had a crush on Su Yiyan, he was later schemed by grandfather Qing and sent abroad. Grandfather Qing also felt a little guilty toward him. Therefore, not long after he returned to the country in her previous life, Qing Juanhao arranged for him to enter his own company and gave him a lot of benefits. He didn't want to bury the root of the disaster for the entire family and raise a terrible ingrate. In this life, Su Yiyan knew from the beginning that this person's heart wasn't good. After Qing Juanhao sent him to the company, she gave him a warning in advance. As a result, Qing Fenglang didn't enter Qing Juanhao's company as smoothly as in her previous life. Initially, he thought that by solving the root of the problem, the Qing family wouldn't repeat the same mistake. Who would have thought that it would still happen? Su Yiyan thought about how her grandfather had worked hard for the country and the people all his life. He was not particular about food, clothing, housing, and transportation, and had never bought anything valuable for her. Anything that was worth more than 4 or 5 digits was basically given to him by the younger generation out of filial piety. Even the old house at home was given to him by the higher-ups for his meritorious contributions. It had not been changed for decades. Such a person who had dedicated most of his life was framed and slandered by others in the end. In turn, he was cursed and scolded by those who had once enjoyed his kindness. He couldn't keep his integrity in his old age and finally died of depression. His uncle had never done anything wrong. In order to accumulate good karma and have a child that belonged to him and his wife, he had done all kinds of charity for decades. However, because of the betrayal of the people around him, he had inexplicably been charged with a crime. If it wasn't for Huo Chenhuan in her previous life who pulled him at a critical moment, he might have been jailed. When she thought of this, Su Yiyan couldn't control the anger in her heart. She wanted to tear Qing Fenglong's family apart. Grandfather is fine. They're all fine. Don't scare yourself. Do my mom and the others know about this? Got it? They were the ones who called me, Wang Yao said. Su Yiyan frowned. Why did they only call you and not me? Chapter 10-12. Maybe he's worried that you'll be overly nervous, so he asked me to pass on the message. At least I'm by your side, so I can hold you back and not let you be too impulsive. Su Yiyan pursed her lips. She was a little unconvinced, but she didn't continue on this topic. Then my mom and the others, they've already booked tickets and are going to visit Grandpa and the others tomorrow. I want to go too. Huo Chenhuan seemed to have expected Su Yiyan to have such a reaction. He smiled faintly and said, Of course we'll go together. We'll also bring the little guy to visit Grandpa. Okay. Although Huo Chenhuan repeatedly said that the Qing family situation wasn't serious, and Qing Juanhao and old Master Qing weren't affected much. However, Su Yiyan still felt a little uneasy. The next morning, when the sky was just beginning to brighten, Su Yiyan got up and prepared a lot of things to bring to the Qing family. Huo Chenhuan was holding the sleepy little guy who was still a little grumpy after waking up. He looked at Su Yiyan with helplessness in his eyes. We're just going to stay there for a few days. You don't have to bring so many things, right? It's rare for us to go there, so I have to bring more things to stay for a few more days. Let me see, these are for Grandpa, these are for Uncle and Auntie, and these are for little cousin. Su Yiyan was counting the bags one by one. Huo Chenhuan heard a trace of something wrong from her words. You're going to stay there for a few more days? Isn't it a little long vacation? I haven't seen Grandpa and Auntie for so long, so I miss them. Moreover, Mom and the others are going too. It's rare for the family to gather together, so we'll stay for a few more days. It's lively, and the baby can also play with kanji for a few more days to interact with each other. Huo Chenhuan breathed a sigh of relief when he heard what she said. It turned out that they were going to stay together for a period of time. He thought that his wife and children would run away after he went out. It would be awkward if he came back alone. The whole family packed up their things and rushed to the airport excitedly to meet up with Qing Xiuqin and the others. Unsurprisingly, Qing Xiuqin also brought a lot of things. He was happy to be empty-handed, but his father and Su Yuxuan had to work hard as porters. At first, Su Yiyan was a little worried that the little guy would cry because he couldn't adapt to the oppressive atmosphere on the plane. Unexpectedly, the little guy went to sleep as soon as he drank his milk. When he woke up, the plane had just landed and the jet lag was just right. Qing Juanhao knew that they were coming, so he drove a bigger car to pick them up. Even so, it was noon before they finally arrived at the Qing family's old residence. As soon as Qin Shueru heard the sound, she carried the child out and shouted, Dad, Yanyan and the others are here. As soon as Su Yiyan got out of the car, she saw the two people. Her attention was immediately focused on old Master Qing. She quickly stepped forward to hold his hand and said with concern, Grandpa, how are you? Why do you look so pale? Did you not sleep well these 2 days? The concern of his precious granddaughter made old Master Qing smile. He reached out to pat her hand and said, I'm fine. Everything is fine. Grandpa is old and he doesn't sleep much. By the way, where is my great-grandson? Didn't you say that you were going to bring him to see me? I've been thinking about it all day. Here. Huo Chenhuan heard this and carried the child forward. The last time the little guy saw his great-grandfather was when he was 1 month old. After a few months, he didn't know if he still remembered. Fortunately, the little guy didn't seem to be afraid of strangers since he was born. Except when he showed some hostility to his father, as long as Su Yiyan was present, he was very easy to talk to. Chapter 10-13. Grandpa Qing reached out and pulled him into his arms. He did not cry or make a fuss. Instead, he looked him up and down with his big eyes as though he was trying to figure out who this white-haired old man was. The old man had always liked children, so his heart softened when Huo Xiaoheng looked at him. He teased Huo Chenhuan as he played with the baby. Hua Xiaoheng, you're still as skilled as ever. It seems like you've been helping Yen Yen take care of the baby a lot. You're like this even when you're here. I bet you don't take care of the baby at home. Grandpa, you've wronged me. It's not that I don't want to take care of the baby, but this guy won't let me. He even said that men and women shouldn't touch each other. The baby is a boy. If it were a girl, he wouldn't have stopped me. He made it sound nice, but if it were a girl, he wouldn't let me take care of her either. When the baby kissed me 2 days ago, he even warned the baby not to compete with him for attention. The baby was so angry that she cried. How old is he? He's even jealous of a child. I really can't do anything about him. The crowd, who had only wanted to watch the show, felt their stomachs stuffed with dog food. All right. We know you guys are close. You don't have to show off in front of us. All right. Let's talk inside. Don't just stand at the door. The moment Qing Junhao's words came out, everyone seemed to have woken up from a dream. The group of people walked into the courtyard. Cheng Xiuqin and Su Yayan helped a few of the old servants in the house to distribute the luggage and followed them into the house. As soon as they sat down, they started to ask about the business. Dad, what's going on? When I saw the news about your family, my heart almost stopped. How could you not tell us about such a big thing? The Cheng family's incident had happened a few days ago, but the Cheng family had been keeping it a secret. The rumors had gotten worse over the past 2 days, and the public opinion had gotten out of hand. That was how Su Yiyan and the others found out about it. They came so suddenly that we were caught off guard. Fortunately, nothing serious happened, so there's no need to worry. You didn't cause any trouble this time, but you won't be allowed to do so next time. As soon as Qing Juanhao finished speaking, Su Yuxuan couldn't help but remind him. Yuxuan. Qing Xiuqin looked at his eldest son with disapproval. Mom, you've been reading so much news these past 2 days. Haven't you noticed that these news articles are all about the same? Moreover, not long after Uncle's family got into trouble, many online reporters, media outlets, and marketing accounts seemed to have made an appointment and started to spread rumors. They made it sound like Grandpa and Uncle had already been convicted. Are the reports true? The few elders present were not as familiar with the marketing of public opinion as the young people. They looked at each other, not knowing what to say. Su Yiyan immediately understood what he meant. His eyes turned cold as he said coldly, Big brother, what you mean is that I'm afraid someone is manipulating this matter behind the scenes, deliberately guiding public opinion in a direction that is unfavorable to uncle and grandfather. It was very likely that this was just the beginning. If they didn't find out who this person was, there would be endless trouble in the future. Grandpa, uncle, have you found out who maliciously reported you? When Su Yiyan asked, the two of them shook their heads with serious expressions. Not to mention that the other party was anonymous. Even if they weren't, the information of such whistleblowers was usually well protected. Otherwise, no one would dare to casually report people like the old master who had a higher status than himself. Chapter 10:14. This was a form of protection for the whistleblower, but it was also a form of connivance for those who wanted to fish in troubled waters and frame others. Actually, in addition to the company and Dad's research institute, something else has happened in the past 2 days. Junhao. Dad, it's already come to this. What's there to hide? There are no outsiders here. Qing Xiuqin also felt that something was wrong when he heard this. He frowned and said, Dad, what else are you hiding from us? Actually, it's nothing much. It's just some old stories from the research institute. Qing Junhao was furious. That's nothing? That shameless person even took advantage of you and accused you of plagiarism. Plagiarism? Su Yiyan's expression changed slightly. What could Grandpa have plagiarized? Thinking about it again, Grandpa Cheng had just mentioned the research institute. Su Yiyan's expression immediately darkened. The research results of Grandpa and Grandma back then? Yes. At this point, Grandpa Cheng also knew that this matter could not be hidden anymore. He could only tell the truth. Actually, it was an assistant who followed me back then. He had some talent, but his heart was not right. Later on, something happened and I kicked him out of the research institute. So he held a grudge. When he saw that something had happened to you, he came out to falsely accuse you of plagiarizing his research results. Yes. Su Yiyan subconsciously turned to look at Hua Chenhuan. This was too much of a coincidence. Their family had just gotten into trouble, and someone had already jumped out to spread rumors that seemed to be true and false. They took the lead to lower the public's impression of the person involved and create an inherent bad impression of the person involved. Later on, even if it was clarified that these were all rumors and the report was not true, those people would ignore it and pretend to be deaf and dumb. They would think that the higher-ups were deliberately protecting privileged personnel and bullying ordinary people like them. Grandpa, what happened back then that made you unable to tolerate it and kick him out of the research institute? Su Yiyan did not think that his grandfather was someone who could not distinguish between public and private matters. This person must have done something particularly overboard and crossed the line for Grandpa Cheng to be so ruthless. An assistant who had been personally chased out by a senior, which other legitimate laboratory would dare to easily accept him? At the mention of this, old Master Cheng's face darkened. He took advantage of his identity in the research institute to maliciously collect commissions for equipment. He almost leaked the things we were researching and analyzing at that time. Su Yiyan was taken aback. Wasn't this already considered leaking trade secrets? Moreover, because of the special nature of the research institute, if they really wanted to pursue the matter, his crime would be much more serious than leaking trade secrets. This was an academic secret. If he were to be strictly investigated, a few years in jail would be considered a light punishment. He might even be implicated in some unknown serious crimes. Wasn't this matter recorded? If it had been recorded, he wouldn't have been able to jump up and down and bite back. When the matter was exposed, he knelt in front of me and your grandmother to admit his mistake. He asked us to give him a chance to turn over a new leaf. Your grandmother was soft-hearted and felt that he had just gone astray for a moment. In the end, he couldn't bear to see a young man's life ruined because of this, so he only asked me to kick him out of the research institute and never hire him again. However, it turned out that some people were crooked from the very beginning. Even if you gave him 1,000 or 10,000 chances, he would not really repent. Temporarily admitting his mistake and pleading for leniency was just to find an opportunity to pick up the butcher's knife in the future. Needless soft-heartedness would only be exchanged for another counterattack by the ingrate. Chapter 10:15. Su Yiyan's expression turned even uglier when he heard this. Back then he was caught taking kickbacks and colluding with outsiders to leak confidential information. Was there any evidence left behind? There was at that time, but it's been so long. I don't know if it's still there. After all, old Madam was still alive when this happened, and both of them were still in the research institute. It had been at least 20 to 30 years since then. Even if there was any evidence, it wouldn't be easy to find it. Leave this matter to me. Hua Chenhuan took the initiative to take on this task. However, I might need grandfather to talk to the people at the research institute and ask them to cooperate. After all, it wasn't appropriate to disclose too much of the research at the research institute to the outside world. Hua Chenhuan could ask someone to help restore some of the relevant information, but if the people at the research institute didn't agree to help during the process, it would be easy to be caught red-handed and make things worse. This isn't difficult. Old Master Cheng looked deeply at Hua Chenhuan and his wife. After all, he had been retired for many years. Most of the current senior management at the research institute were technically his juniors. However, an elder who was no longer in the research institute and had no real power might give you some face on the surface, but in reality he might not really respect you. The reason he said this now was entirely because of the batch of Chinese herbs that Su Yiyan had previously provided for the research institute, as well as Su Yuxuan's current cooperation with the research institute. Both sides had a relationship of mutual benefit. In addition to his old face, it was relatively more confident to ask them to give him face. Su Yuxuan obviously knew this as well. He said spontaneously, "In a while, Yan Yan and I will call the director and ask him to cooperate. How many days will it take to get results?" Hua Chenhuan briefly considered the difficulty of this matter and gave a specific time. "In 2 days. Okay, I'll call him in a while." Hua Chenhuan nodded in agreement. He turned his head and saw Su Yiyan's worried expression. He asked in a low voice, "What's wrong? Are you still worried?" "Grandfather, what does that man do now? Did you find out?" "I've looked into it." Cheng Juanhao took the opportunity to interject. "This man is just an ordinary executive of a small company. He only has one son in his family and he's not very successful." "An executive from a small company?" Su Yiyan frowned. "How could an executive from a small company cause such a big disturbance? Why are you encouraging so many media outlets to set the pace? You mean, there must be someone else behind this?" Su Yiyan took a deep breath and said coldly, "Uncle, have you tried to investigate Qing Fenglong's family?" As soon as Su Yiyan said this, not only Cheng Juanhao, but also several elders present were shocked. They looked at each other and said, Why did you suddenly mention their family? Qing Juanhao was the first to react. Are you suspecting that this incident is related to them? Yes. Su Yiyan always felt that there was something fishy about this matter. In this life, although Qing Fenglang did not enter Qing Juanhao's company, this incident suddenly happened at this time. He even contacted the major media outlets in advance and said with certainty, as if he had already expected that Qing Juanhao would have problems internally. Only the people inside the company knew about the internal accounts of a company. It was impossible for it to be leaked easily. This matter was like, there was a mole in the company. Even if this matter was not done by Qing Fenglang, Su Yiyan felt that this matter could not be separated from him. Chapter 10:16. When Qing Juanhao heard what she said, he was not in a hurry to make a conclusion. Instead, he said thoughtfully, "You seem to have reminded me before that I shouldn't let him into the company unless it was absolutely necessary. Could it be that at that time you thought that he—" Su Yiyan raised her head and looked at everyone present. She felt that this was a rare opportunity to let her family know the true colors of Qing Fenglong's family. Actually, I heard Qing Fenglong's parents mention uncle, aunt and my parents by chance. Old Master Qing and the others had always doted on Su Yiyan, so they had never doubted her words. Hearing her say this, their first reaction was that these two people must have said something particularly excessive, which was why Su Yiyan was so disgusted and guarded against them. What did they say about us? Su Yiyan tried hard to think of an excuse. They said that uncle and aunt didn't have any children for so many years. They gloated and ridiculed our family's bloodline. They said that we were guarding such a large family property, but in the end, it only benefited the kittens and puppies outside. They also said that this was retribution. Although there were many people who chose not to have children because of financial pressure, health, and other reasons, the word bloodline still stabbed the hearts of some people who liked children to a large extent. Especially Qing Juanhao and Qin Shueru, a loving couple who had been begging for children for many years. Their faces immediately darkened. Fortunately, the little guy in Qin Shueru's arms kicked his little feet at the right time, as if he was a little uncomfortable being hugged and wanted to get out of her arms. Qin Shueru woke up from a dream and put the little guy on the ground with a faint smile. Porridge was a few months older than Su Yiyan's baby. He could already crawl all over the ground by himself. For this reason, the floor in the house had to be cleaned several times a day and covered with soft carpets so that he could crawl everywhere without restraint. After Porridge circled around the adults, he suddenly seemed to have discovered something. He tilted his little head and suddenly rushed toward Su Yiyan and Qin Shueru. Yeah. After Kanji crawled to Su Yiyan's feet, it raised its head and looked innocently at the little fellow in her arms. Then it grabbed Su Yiyan's calf and stood up shakily. It looked like it could fall at any time. Qin Shueru was shocked. She subconsciously wanted to go forward and carry the child back, but she was stopped by her husband. The baby stood up. Qing Juanhao said to Qin Shueru silently. Qin Shueru was stunned for a moment. She looked at the little fellow who was being protected by Su Yiyan and had already used his own strength to support Su Yiyan's calf. For some reason, her eyes suddenly felt a little sour. Perhaps what parents wanted to do the most was to watch their children grow up bit by bit. From being able to flip over to being able to crawl, stand, walk, and run, they had participated in every stage. Just watching was enough to satisfy them. At that moment, little cutie Porridge grabbed Su Yiyan's pants tightly and stood up. With a thud, he fell onto Su Yiyan's thigh because he could not stand properly. After being stunned for a while, he seemed to realize what had happened and chuckled. Unlike little Xingxing, who only had small and tender teeth when he smiled, Porridge was almost a year old. A few millet-sized tender teeth had popped out from all over his body. When he stood up, these little teeth could be seen, and it made one's heart soften. Yeah. After Porridge finished laughing, he reached out his little hand to reach little Xingxing. As he reached, he kept calling out as if he was greeting his little nephew. Chapter 10:17. Kanji, this is. Su Yiyan wanted to say that this was his little nephew, but she thought that the word, nephew, might be a little difficult for Kanji at this moment, so she changed her words. This is little Xingxing. We've seen him in the video before, right? Yeah. When Kanji heard Su Yiyan say that, he smiled even more happily. His little chubby hand kept patting Su Yiyan's leg to express his joy at finally seeing his little friend. Compared to Kanji's liveliness when he saw his little friend, little Xingxing was much calmer. He pulled out the pacifier in his mouth and also called out to Kanji. Woo woo, ya ya, woo woo woo? Ya ya ya? Woo 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 woo. Ya 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 ya. In an instant, there was only the sound of the two little ones arguing in the room. It was clearly just two children blindly calling out. In the eyes of the few people, for some reason, it felt as if they had a common language with children. They also knew what the other party was saying, but the adults could not understand. Su Yiyin looked at the two cute little ones and could not help but laugh out loud. When the others heard her laugh, they suddenly woke up and laughed as well. With this laugh, the unhappiness caused by the topic just now instantly disappeared. Qin Shueru walked over with a face full of smiles. She picked up her son and said, "It seems like Kanji likes Xingxing very much." When Xingxing came, he learned to stand on his own without a teacher. Su Yiyin was surprised. Is this his first time standing? Yes, today is his first time. That's very fast. Xingxing just turned over a few days ago and he hasn't grown teeth yet. I just saw that Kanji seems to have 4 or 5 teeth. The top 2 and the bottom 2 have both popped out. Now he's growing the rest. The two new mothers talked about their children for a while and their mood eased a lot. When old Master Cheng saw that everyone's expressions had returned to normal, he coughed lightly and changed the topic. Other than that, what else did they say? Everyone's eyes fell on Su Yiyin. Su Yiyin let out a long sigh and said, "Other than my uncle and aunt, they also talked about my mom and dad." Cheng Xiuqin's face darkened. Thinking of what Su Yiyin had just said about ending his family line, he knew that nothing good would come out of this family's filthy mouth. What did he say about us? They say that you're just lucky. You were reincarnated into Grandma's womb, and you were born a rich young lady. It was a pity that she didn't have good taste. She had taken a fancy to a penniless and nameless grassroots like her father. It's only because Grandpa is rich and Uncle is capable. Otherwise, how could you live such a good life if you only relied on Dad? He even said, "What else did you say?" Cheng Xiuqin's face had completely darkened. These words were not only about her but also about her husband. This was what Cheng Xiuqin could not tolerate. He also said that it's only because Dad has no money and no power that he doesn't dare to offend Grandpa and Uncle. Otherwise, if he really became rich, he would definitely kick you aside and find those young and beautiful women. When Father Su heard this, his face finally changed. He was angry and flustered and he said helplessly, "Don't listen to her nonsense. I only love you. Whether you have money or not, I only love you. I don't like those young and beautiful women." Cheng Xiuqin was originally very angry, but when he heard his father's words, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "I'm not angry about that." Chapter 10:18. She was angry because that gossipy woman had seen through her man too clearly. A narrow-minded person would look at everything with a tinted glass. Especially when they were extremely jealous, they couldn't see the truth at all. They only believed what they wanted to believe, as if this was the only way to comfort their inferior and ugly hearts. That woman only saw that Father Su's business was getting more and more prosperous after he married Cheng Xiuqin, but she didn't see how much hardship and effort Father Su and Cheng Xiuqin had suffered in the early days of their business. She was even more selective and blind, turning a blind eye to the decades of love between Father Su and Cheng Xiuqin. With just a few words, she negated other people's business and feelings. Could be said that she was really jealous. Su Yiyin looked at her angry parents and lowered her eyes. What she said was not a lie. In her previous life, Cheng Fenglong's matter was exposed, and he was severely beaten by Huo Chenhuan. He went from a department executive with an annual salary of millions to a crippled homeless man who no one would take a second look at on the side of the road. Cheng Fenglong's mother couldn't accept that the son she had always been proud of had become like this. She went crazy and said a lot of truth, including this. Su Yiyin couldn't tell whether she was so angry that she didn't choose her words carefully or simply said all the things in her heart. Anyway, with her temperament, if she could say such words, even if it was deliberate revenge and deliberately exaggerated the curse, she must have had such thoughts in her heart before, so she could say it so smoothly. After ridiculing me and Shueru for not having children and that we would have no descendants in this life, she eccentrically cursed my sister and brother-in-law for not having a good relationship and that they would divorce sooner or later. This kind of person is actually a relative of the same surname. Those who don't know will think that we dug up their ancestral grave. Su Yuxuan rolled his eyes and reminded, "Uncle, strictly speaking, their ancestral grave seems to be the same as ours." Cheng Juanhao choked and glared at his eldest nephew angrily. At this time, shouldn't they be united against a common enemy and united against an external enemy? How can you expose my shortcomings like this? Su Yuxuan. Was he wrong to speak the truth? Old Master Cheng glared at his son and was also very angry. She still thinks that it's retribution for Junhao and Shueru not being able to have children? What kind of heinous things did our family do to deserve such retribution? At the very least, even if our family has any retribution, it's not up to them to make irresponsible remarks. Dad, you may think that way, but I may not think so. Qing Xiuqin sneered. Didn't you hear what Yan Yan said just now? She's looking forward to the end of our family's bloodline, so that all our assets will go to the cats and dogs outside. Wasn't their family one of these cats and dogs? Dad, have you forgotten how this family shamelessly tried to take advantage of us back then? With Cheng Xiuqin's reminder, Old Master Cheng's face darkened and he hit the walking stick in his hand twice. Obviously he was disgusted by that distant memory. Qing Juanhao and the others also came to a realization. After all this time, this family was jealous and cursing their family. They were simply eyeing their family's assets and wanted to kill them and replace them at any time. Based on this logic, they did have sufficient motive. Hua Chenhuan had been listening to their discussion quietly. After a moment of consideration, she said coldly, "Actually, after the 1-month-old celebration, this woman sent me something through the company's internal email." Chapter 10:19. Everyone's eyes turned to Hua Chenhuan. What did she send you? Why didn't I know about it? Hua Chenhuan glanced at Su Yiyan. It's all nonsense. You'll only get angry if you read it. Su Yiyan looked suspicious. So what exactly is it? She suspects that you cheated on me. As soon as Hua Chenhuan said this, everyone looked as if they had seen a ghost and stared at him in shock. You mean she thinks I cheated on you? Hua Chenhuan was amused by Su Yiyan's shocked and confused expression. He reached out to scratch her nose and smiled faintly. Not only does she suspect that you cheated on me, but she also suspects that our baby is the evidence that you cheated on me. What? Su Yiyan exclaimed. Is there something wrong with her brain? I think so too. Su Yuxuan also reacted at this time. So, she sent you those things because she thought she had caught Yan Yan cheating on her and reported it to your husband who was cheated on? She wanted you to find trouble with Yan Yan? Yes. Cheng Xiuqin's expression didn't look good, but he was still a little confused. Why would she suddenly send this to Chenhuan? Did she hear any rumors outside? Su Yiyan was a little depressed when she heard this. When did she send it to you? Not long after Kanji's full moon ceremony. Kanji's full moon ceremony? Su Yiyan's eyes were slightly cold. During Kanji's full moon ceremony, Chenhuan and I met Cheng Fenglang at the banquet. When Old Master Cheng and the others heard Su Yiyan's words, their expressions changed. You met him. Did he do anything? What could he do? He just ran over to say hello to us and left after a few words. All right. Su Yiyan smiled as she spoke and turned to look at Hua Chenhuan. He looked a little bad when he left. Maybe he was a little full from watching our public display of affection. Su Yuxuan had just picked up a cup and was about to drink some water to calm herself down when she heard this. However, Old Master Cheng seemed to think of something. He stared at Su Yiyan with a serious expression for a long time and asked tentatively, Yan Yan, do you already know that he likes me, right? When Su Yiyan said that, Su Yuxuan was the one who reacted the most. What? He likes you? Qing Fenglang likes you? Is he stupid? You are cousins, how can he like you? Is he a pervert? They're just cousins in name. They're not related by blood. Even if you are not related by blood in the eyes of outsiders, you are still close relatives. Brother, aren't you being too sincere? I'm not going to be with him. What does his thoughts have to do with me? It doesn't affect me. Su Yuxuan choked, but he was still a little indignant. I just think that it's dangerous and disgusting for him to have such thoughts about you. Su Yuxuan was a few years older than Su Yiyan. He knew more about the evil things that Qing Fenglang's family had done in the past than Su Yiyan. Because of this, he really did not have a good impression of this family. Although the adults said that the children should not be implicated in what the adults did in the family did, the children should not be prejudiced against the children of the same age. However, Su Yuxuan was inevitably led astray. Now that he learned that Qing Fenglang had actually had ulterior motives towards his sister, his impression of him plummeted to the bottom. Chapter 1020. Yan Yan met Feng Lang at the banquet. Not long after that, Feng Lang's mother sent something like this to Yan Yan. Qin Shueru pondered. Could it be that he was provoked by the two of you and deliberately went back to talk nonsense, making his mother really think that you? Not necessarily. Su Yuxuan touched his chin and looked at Hua Qinhuan. Before Qinhuan, Su Yuxuan paused. He knew that his sister didn't like others to say that Hua Qinhuan was disabled, so he had to find another word. His legs weren't very good before, but they've recovered now. According to what Yan Yan said just now, this family, especially Qing Fenglang's mother, can't bear to see others living better than them. She might have gossiped about Qinhuan's legs. When she heard Qing Fenglang mention the two of them and heard that Qinhuan's legs were fine, wouldn't she think more? Qing Xiuqin only felt that it was ridiculous. Are they fools? Why didn't they think about it? If Qinhuan was really Yan Yan's man, how could she casually bring him out in public like our kanji's one-month-old banquet? Do they really think that everyone is as shameless as them? Who knows? The thoughts of idiots are always more unexpected than we think. Unexpected idiocy. Su Yiyan listened to his brother's analysis and felt that it was very possible. Wasn't Cheng Fenglang's mother the kind of person who couldn't bear to see others living well and used the most despicable thoughts to think of others? It was clearly her family's insatiable greed that caused their lives to be worse day by day. In her eyes, it was others who owed her. Not only did she unilaterally make enemies with others, but she also thought that others must have a bad life. As long as they didn't have a good life, she would be happy. It was normal for such a person to think that she had cheated on her husband just because of a few words from Qing Fenglang. How do you know that she sent these things to you? Is that woman so stupid that she reported it with her real name? No. Hua Qinhuan's eyes flashed with a cold light and she chuckled. She reported it anonymously. But since she sent me so many things, I have to know who's behind it. So, you got someone to investigate? Then after you're done. Since we've found out who did it, this matter won't be over so easily. Su Yiyan's heart trembled, but he seemed to understand something. What did you do? Doesn't she like to gossip? I got someone to poison her and make her mute. Hua Qinhuan's words shocked everyone. Even Su Yiyan was a little surprised. She knew that Hua Qinhuan would not let the culprit off so easily, but she did not expect him to be so ruthless. Also, anything else? Not only did she gossip, but she also slandered you. It's too easy for her to just poison her to mute. Qing Xiuqin and the others felt that what he said made sense. To put it nicely, some people were jealous and couldn't bear to see others doing well, so they deliberately gossiped behind others' backs and tried to sow discord in the relationship between husband and wife. However, if it was serious, it would be deliberately spreading rumors to tarnish Su Yiyan's reputation and break up their relationship as husband and wife. Fortunately, it was Hua Qinhuan who was with Su Yiyan that day. If it were someone else, they might have talked about something that didn't exist. Thinking of this, they immediately felt that Hua Qinhuan did not go too far. They even felt that he should have gone even further. Su Yiyan felt that he must have done something more serious than making her mute by mentioning this at the end. What did you do? Chapter 1021. Actually, it's nothing much. I'm just giving her a taste of her own medicine, Hua Qinhuan said with a smile. Doesn't she like to slander others and sow discord between husband and wife? It can be seen that although she is married and has given birth to such a big son, she still has a heart full of longing for an outsider. So, I'll fulfill her wish. Hua Qinhuan did not really want to do anything to that woman. He only planned to let people get close to her and take a few specious photos to send to her husband. Cheng Fenglang's father was indeed cowardly and incompetent, but as long as he was a man with a temper, he would not be able to accept the fact that he had a green grassland above his head. As a result, a few months ago, this family had been in a state of chaos and was on the verge of breaking apart. He did not expect that they still had the strength to play tricks behind the scenes. Thinking of this, Hua Qinhuan's eyes flashed coldly. If this matter had nothing to do with them, then so be it. But if it really had something to do with them, he did not mind breaking up their family. Su Yiyan saw Hua Qinhuan's expression and knew what he was thinking. In a daze, she saw Hua Qinhuan in her previous life, who had lost everything and tried his best to kill those culprits who had harmed her. Instinctively, she reached out to hold Hua Qinhuan's hand and said with a faint smile, "Although I'm very happy that you've done all this for me, but next time, I hope that you can tell me earlier." Hua Qinhuan saw that Su Yiyan was not angry at him for acting on his own accord and a warm smile appeared in his eyes. He replied in a low voice, "Okay. Seeing that the couple had come to a conclusion, the few people beside them did not say anything else. According to what Yan Yan said, this family could really do such a thing. But Junhao had already listened to Yan Yan's words and did not let Qing Fenglang enter the company. How did he? If a person wants to do evil, there are many ways. Although he did not enter Uncle's company, as long as he can contact the employees in Uncle's company. Are you suspecting that there's a mole in the company? When Su Yuxuan heard this, he couldn't help but interject. I think it's very likely that there's a traitor in the company for something like this to happen at this juncture. It was just that there was no definite evidence whether this matter was related to Qing Fenglang or not, so it was hard to conclude. However, since their family is so envious of our family, and can't wait for us to die without descendants, then hand over our family property to them. Even if this matter had nothing to do with them, they might have done something else behind the scenes. It's not a big deal to check. That's true. Su Yuxuan's words received the support of everyone present. After confirming the direction of the investigation, the few of them did not continue this topic. Su Yiyan could tell that the old man was not in a good mood, so she handed the babies over to Qing Xiuqin and asked her and Qin Shueru to take the two children to accompany the old man and make him happy. He went into the small kitchen and prepared to cook a big meal with his own hands, using the delicious food to comfort the frightened elders. Before he started, he did not forget to turn on the live stream. The audience in Su Yiyan's live stream was already used to Su Yiyan's surprise attacks from time to time. Even if Su Yiyan did not do a preview, every time she started a live stream, countless viewers who had set up priority notifications would rush over as quickly as possible and push it to the most conspicuous position on the homepage. This time was no exception. I just finished class and I found out that the streamer started a live stream. I'm so happy. This is the first time I've watched the streamer's live stream when the number of viewers has not exceeded 10,000. I'll take a screenshot as a memento. This background, did the streamer go to play at her relative's house again? Chapter 1022. Su Yiyan smiled when she saw the message. Yeah, it just so happens that I'm on vacation these few days. I brought the baby back to see the elders. As soon as she said that, the screen was filled with messages begging the baby to appear on the screen. Su Yiyan smiled and had no intention of letting the child appear on screen. Fortunately, more viewers soon flooded in, and these messages were covered by new ones. The medicine packs that Su Yiyan had recommended in the broadcast room were selling very well recently. Of course, there were one or two people who followed the trend and ordered the medicine packs. However, Su Yiyan had already considered this point. Just like the Chinese herbs that were sold before, the packaging of these medicine packs clearly stated the main purpose and taboo groups. As long as people came to make trouble, they would ask for a medical report. If there was a problem with the right symptoms, they would pay. If they knew that they couldn't eat it, then they deserved it. They didn't care. As it turned out, Su Yiyan was very prescient. After that, there were indeed a few people who caused trouble after eating the medicine packs in the restaurant. In the end, they were in the wrong and had to pay for it. Not only did it not affect the reputation of the medicinal cuisine restaurant, but it also attracted more people's attention to the restaurant and the medicine packs. The sales did not decrease but increased. After the medicine packs became popular for a while, the people who wanted to buy them had already bought them. Today, the audience in the broadcast room was more curious about the new scar removal ointment in the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Streamer, can the new scar removal ointment in your restaurant really remove scars? Is it also made by the streamer with Chinese herbs? A few days ago I accidentally fell and cut my chin. The doctor said that it will definitely leave a scar. Although it's not easy to see it on the chin, it's still ugly to have a scar on the face. Streamer, is your scar removal ointment useful for burning scars? I have a younger sister who accidentally burned her thigh and calf when she was boiling water when she was young. It's such a big scar that she doesn't dare to wear a skirt until now. Streamer, Su Yiyan looked at the screen full of questions and pondered for a moment. She deliberated for a while and made a conclusion. The scar removal ointment in the restaurant is indeed a private product of our restaurant. It can indeed remove scars. It's basically suitable for both big and small scars. It's just that small scars take effect faster and require more treatment. For large scars such as burns, it may take a longer time for the treatment to take effect compared to other scars. Apart from that, the new scars that were left behind recently took effect faster because the skin texture was relatively more active. If it was an old scar, it would take a longer time to recover. You might have scars of the same size, but if someone else uses 1 bottle, you have to use 2 bottles. If someone else uses 1 month, you have to use 2 months. That's the specific difference. The inquiring audience members were all very excited when they received the confirmation. It was no wonder that they had doubts about the scar removal ointment. Most of the ointment purchased in Su Yiyan's shop were related to food. Think even those medicine packets had to be brought back and stewed with other ingredients to be eaten. Out of nowhere, a scar removal ointment appeared. Many people suspected that their streamer had begun to sell other people's goods like other internet celebrities. In addition, some anti-fans and competitors who sold scar removal and beauty products deliberately stirred things up and questioned the efficacy of this ointment. This caused this ointment to be on the shelves for 2 days with mediocre sales. It was not as popular as the previous ointment packs. Chapter 1023. Xiao Kai was a small streamer in the makeup section of Onlooker. Her ID was Kai Kaizi. She would do makeup online and try out colors when she had nothing to do. Because of her delicate facial features and straightforward personality, she had attracted a lot of fans in the past 2 or 3 years and became a famous streamer in the makeup section. The top girl in the gourmet section next door appeared out of nowhere and dominated almost all the recommendation banners on the website. Many streamers in other sections were hostile to her and envious of her. Xiao Kai didn't feel anything. First of all, the two of them were in different sections and didn't have too much direct conflict. Second, she actually liked to eat. However, they were both streamers and Su Yiyan was many times more popular than her. It was easy to be said that chasing stars with a main account would be easy for people to say that she was sticking to Su Yiyan. She only dared to open a side account and secretly stay in Su Yiyan's live broadcast room to be a humble audience who sent flowers every day. This stalemate finally had a subtle turn for the better after the scar removal ointment appeared in Su Yiyan's store. After the scar removal ointment was put up for sale in the medicinal cuisine restaurant and the official website, Xiao Kai immediately bought a few bottles and released a notice that she would do an open box trial after she got the ointment. As a result, the order was placed at noon and Xiao Kai received the finished product that night. She started the live broadcast as promised. Today, I'm bringing you the scar removal ointment that was recently put up for sale in the Carnival restaurant. I just bought it on the official website this morning and it will arrive in the afternoon. First, I'll open the box for everyone to check the goods. After that, I'll do a trial run. As soon as Xiao Kai finished speaking, a few unfriendly comments appeared on the bullet screen. Carnival restaurant? A new beauty brand? I've never heard of it. Is the streamer casually looking for some unbranded products to promote in order to make money? Aren't you afraid that you'll ruin your reputation? I went to search around and only know that there's a restaurant called Carnival Restaurant that sells scar removal beauty products. This is the funniest joke I've heard this year. I thought that the streamer was different from the other streamers in the makeup section. She wouldn't make money as soon as she became popular. Now it seems that I was naive. Forget about the previous ones. After all, they were well-known brands with a good reputation. Now it's worse. She even pulled this unbranded brand that we don't know if it has quality assurance into the live broadcast room. She misled the fans to increase the sales of these unbranded products. Are you worthy of us, the fans who trusted you wholeheartedly? You really don't care about your face for the sake of money. I'm unsubscribing. Xiao Kai's face darkened when he saw these comments, but he didn't back down because of this. These so-called audience members who were clamoring to quit being fans were most likely opponents or haters pretending to be fans. When she first started live streaming, she had a glass heart. She wondered if she had really done something wrong to let down the people who liked her. Later on, after experiencing more, she realized that some people in this world hated you for no specific reason. They only hated you because they hated you. No matter how well you do or how hard you work, they can find thousands of reasons to deny your hard work and excellence. The best way to deal with such people was to ignore them and not even look at them. Xiao Kai calmed himself down and smiled faintly. This is the first time I've done such a time-sensitive evaluation, so please forgive me if I don't do well. Alright, let's not waste time. Let's open the chest. Xiao Kai said as she opened the box. There were 3 bottles of scar removal ointment in the box, each containing about 100 grams. Chapter 1024. There was a simple but elegant little box on the outside. After opening it, there was an exquisite glass bottle with a simple appearance. Only the words Carnival Restaurant could be vaguely seen. The ointment was a refreshing light green color. It was cold to the touch and quite comfortable. There were 2 scars on Xiao Kai's body. One was on her face. It was a pox mark that she couldn't help but scratch when she had acne as a child. There were 4 or 5 of them distributed all over her face. They weren't particularly obvious. However, as a makeup streamer, she often had no makeup on during her live broadcasts. When the camera zoomed in, these marks were very obvious. In the beginning it was still okay. Her face was a little blurry and the audience was more tolerant. No one said anything about the pox marks on her face. They only paid attention to her makeup and the makeup products she used. When she became a little more popular, her popularity increased, and the number of viewers increased. All kinds of people began to flood into the live broadcast room. Gradually, people began to talk about the acne marks on her face. Some anti-fans even deliberately gave her a black nickname, Acne Girl Streamer. The other mark was on her arm. It was a long and deep cut from a relative's naughty child a few months ago. There was a lot of blood at the time, and Xiao Kai's parents were so scared that they almost fainted on the spot. Although she was sent to the hospital in time to save her life, an ugly scar was left on her arm. After that, the relative took a basket of fruits to the hospital. He was trying to excuse his son, saying that the child was naughty and that adults shouldn't be too calculative with him. However, Xiao Kai and Xiao Kai's parents were so angry that they fell out with that person on the spot. From then on, they never contacted each other again. It was said that not long ago, the naughty child was involved in another murder case. This time it wasn't a small quarrel between relatives. The victim's family had some power and was determined to get to the bottom of it. Unfortunately, 2 days before the murder, the naughty child just happened to be an adult. The best outcome was that he would be imprisoned for 10 to 20 years. At the same time, his family would have to bear a huge amount of compensation. That family only had 1 child in 3 generations. How could they watch him be ruined like this? It was said that they had been running around to borrow money and ask for help. When Xiao Kai heard this, he was neither sad nor happy. While his anger had been vented, he also felt a little relieved. Fortunately, they had long since cut off all pretense of cordiality with this family. Whether they lived or died now, it had nothing to do with them. Back to the topic at hand. The scar on Xiao Kai's arm was less than a year old, and it was a light pink color. Compared to this scar, the acne marks on his face were brown and slightly sunken. It says on the outside box that old scars take effect more slowly than new scars, and big scars take effect more slowly than small scars. The scars on my face and hands are old and new, big and small. For the next half a month, I will be broadcasting on time every day. Babies, pay attention to the changes in my scars. As Xiao Kai spoke, she applied the scar removal ointment evenly on her arm. The ointment feels cool on the skin. After that, let's put on some makeup and see if the ointment has any allergic reactions to the skin. This was what most girls would do when trying on cosmetics, especially facial masks. First, they would use the ointment on their hands for a period of time. After making sure that there wouldn't be any allergic reactions, they would apply it to their face. During this process, the live broadcast room would occasionally have a few comments cursing her rotten face. Xiao Kai saw them but didn't care. Chapter 1025. After Su Yiyan advertised her store's scar removal ointment in the live stream room, she threw the matter to the back of her mind. About 3 or 4 days later, she suddenly received a call from the store telling her that all the scar removal ointment in the store had been sold out. Should she restock now or wait a little longer? Su Yiyan was a little surprised when she heard this. She had only put the ointment in the store to test the waters. In fact, there weren't many finished products produced. Another thing was that a few cosmetics companies might have realized that Su Yiyan had a tendency to develop into beauty products and felt a sense of crisis. They had hired several groups of ghostwriters to criticize her in advance. They had even begun to secretly slander some of the products that were selling well in her store. It wasn't that Su Yiyan didn't know about these things, but everyone's attention had been focused on what had happened to the Qing family recently. For the time being, she couldn't find the time to deal with these people. In the end, she hadn't even had the time to deal with these people yet, and the matter had already been resolved by itself? Su Yiyan was puzzled, so she simply logged into her account. The first thing she saw was a real-time hot topic tag that said, "God's Scar Removal Ointment, you deserve it." When she clicked on it, she realized that a beauty blogger on their website had reviewed their scar removal ointment and had even given a staged recovery. The most important thing was that after the blogger had used the scar removal ointment, not only had the scar really faded, but even her skin had improved a lot. Su Yiyan? My ointment has such an effect and I didn't even know about it. Xiao Kai, who was doing the review, obviously didn't expect such a pleasant surprise. She endured the cynicism and ridicule of the ghostwriters and anti-fans for 3 days, and the small acne marks on her face had obvious changes. They had faded a lot. The scratches on her arms were more serious than the small acne marks, but if she compared them with the photos from the first day, she would see that the originally hideous scars had faded a lot. The color was also gradually getting closer to the color of the surrounding skin. When Xiao Kai realized that the scars on her hands and face had really changed, she was very happy. She felt that she hadn't been a fan of the wrong person, and she worked even harder to review the ointment. However, her initial focus was still on removing the scars, and she didn't think about other aspects. On the 8th morning of the review, Xiao Kai's mother casually asked, "Have you been staying up late less recently? My complexion looks much better and my skin feels better too." Xiao Kai was also taken aback by her mother's words, and she reflexively touched her own face. She didn't know if it was just a figment of her imagination, but she couldn't help but feel that the skin on her face had improved a little. One had to know that because she had to work during the day and stream at night, she had to put on and remove her makeup every day until the latter half of the night. Naturally, her skin became rougher and rougher. When she didn't put on makeup, it looked fine from afar, but up close it was a little bad. This was also one of the reasons why her anti-fans liked to criticize her. How could a beauty blogger become a beauty blogger if her skin wasn't good enough? At first, Xiao Kai didn't pay much attention to it. She thought that the acne marks on her face had faded, and her skin looked much better than before. A few days later, about a week after her first live stream, many viewers in Xiao Kai's live stream finally began to realize this. Discussions about her skin's sudden improvement also began to increase. There were even a few die-hard fans who worked together to compile screenshots of Xiao Kai's skin condition during her live broadcast this week. Chapter 1026. Originally, she didn't think much of it as she watched it day by day. However, now that she was suddenly compared to a week ago, even Xiao Kai herself realized that something was wrong. Her skin really did seem to have improved a lot. Others might not know, but Xiao Kai knew very well. Although she also used some skincare products, she only used a few all year round. She knew very well how effective they were. The only variable in this week's time was that bottle of scar removal ointment. This discovery surprised Xiao Kai. Seeing that more and more people in the live broadcast room were asking about it, she didn't hide it. She told everyone about her guess in front of the many viewers in the live broadcast room. As expected, Su Yiyan store's scar removal ointment, which didn't sell very well, was completely sold out. It wasn't like there weren't any paid posters in Xiao Kai's live broadcast room. They mocked Xiao Kai for falsely advertising a product that had no reputation and no safety guarantee. However, the changes she had experienced over the past week were real. The comparison photos compiled by her fans were also real. Facts spoke louder than words. Moreover, for some people, the temptation of becoming more beautiful was greater than anything else. Even if some makeup companies had the foresight to use explosion-proof products, it still didn't stop these people from giving Su Yiyan money. Su Yiyan glanced at the beautiful streamer in the video who was trying her best to promote her company's scar removal ointment and praised her company's ointment as if it was the best in the world. For a moment, she even suspected that this was a new trick that the other company had come up with to flatter their shop. In the end, what really dispelled Su Yiyan's doubts was the feedback sent by Lian Nam. Long before the Carnival restaurant put the ointment on sale, Su Yiyan had sent a copy to Lian Nam. However, Lian Nam's burns were quite serious. The scars on Xiao Kai's body paled in comparison. Relatively speaking, the ointment took longer to take effect. When Su Yiyan received a call from the Li family, the first thing she heard was a woman crying. "Is this Miss Su?" Su Yiyan was taken aback by her attitude. After a few seconds of silence, she said, "I am. May I ask who you are?" "Hello, Miss Su. I'm Nan's mother, so it's Mrs. Li." Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows. "Mrs. Li suddenly called me. Did something happen to Miss Li? Is it because the ointment I sent over didn't work?" No. The ointment Miss Su sent is useful, very useful." As Mrs. Li spoke, she began to sob. She couldn't come up with a reason for a long time. Su Yiyan was also confused. Since it worked, what was there to cry about? Could it be that Miss Li's mother didn't want her daughter to recover soon and live a normal life? Before Su Yiyan could think further, the person on the other end of the phone had already changed. Miss Su. Su Yiyan immediately recognized Lian Nam's voice. Yes. My mother was a little emotional just now. I hope she didn't offend you. Miss Li is too polite. It's not an offense. However, Mrs. Su and Miss Su suddenly called me. What's the matter? Actually, it's not a big deal. I've used the ointment Miss Su sent over. The effect is better than expected. Thank you very much. Also, I've decided to follow Miss Su's previous suggestion and undergo plastic surgery. After the surgery, I'll need Miss Su's help. And Nan will be very grateful. Chapter 1027. Su Yiyan immediately understood. No wonder Mrs. Su was so excited that she was about to cry. This girl had finally thought things through and was willing to undergo the surgery. Miss Li, I'm glad you've thought things through. I'll do my best. Before this, when Su Yiyan said this, Lian Nam would only think that she was deliberately evading the responsibility. She was deliberately vague and left some leeway for those who couldn't cure her but couldn't bear to part with her family's compensation. However, after seeing the effects of the ointment and seeing the obvious fading of the scars, Lian Nam's heart, which had been dead for a long time, finally gave birth to a glimmer of hope. Maybe she really could have a chance to change her appearance and stand in front of everyone with a new attitude and continue her former dream. Su Yiyan and Lian Nam exchanged a few more words and decided on a time to meet again before hanging up the phone. Gold would always shine. Because of Xiao Kai's promotion, the scar removal ointment in the medicinal cuisine restaurant was out of stock for a while before it was back on the shelves. At this time, the first batch of customers also posted their real feedback. In an instant, the restaurant's name once again swept through various public circles of friends. The restaurant specialized in managing public accounts. Usually, other than the time to draw numbers, the waitresses were basically free. Inevitably, they were bombarded by countless customers who wanted to buy the scar removal ointment. Even some of the more famous actors in the industry came over and secretly used their status to help the waitresses prepare the next batch of ointment that had not yet been put on the shelves. One had to know that actors, especially those who filmed period dramas, had to be strong and oppressive. Even the martial arts actors who personally filmed the action scenes had scars on their bodies. It would be fine if the scars were in places that couldn't be seen, but if the scars were on the face, then it would be a big problem. Now that there was a ready-made scar removal ointment, people, regardless of whether they had scars on their bodies or not, wanted to at least stock up on a few bottles. Those with scars could be removed, and those without scars could even be beautified. There were many people who had such thoughts. This also led to a period of time where the supply of this ointment could not meet the demand. Regardless of whether they were rushing to buy or making reservations, all of them acted as if they owned a mine and threw money at Su Yiyan's shop. Qing Juanhao still had shares in this store. Originally, because of the malicious report this time, although it was clarified that he had been slandered and that the company was innocent, because those unscrupulous media outlets had received money to beat the rhythm, there were still some people who were led by the nose. Before the truth was found out, they had already made some boycotts. It still caused some losses to the company that were hard to make up for, and Qing Juanhao was in a terrible fix. He was vexed about whether he should give up his old face and borrow some money from his relatives. Now that the money was in place, everything could be discussed. Qing Juanhao no longer had to worry about whether or not to borrow money, and how to borrow money. The company could also be revived. Qing Juanhao felt relieved. He looked at his niece more kindly, as if he was looking at a gold mine that was about to jump into his pocket. Su Yiyan? Don't stare at me like that, it's scary. Everything that had happened in the Qing family was frightening but not dangerous. At the same time, there were two other pieces of good news. One was that the evidence that Ho Chenhuan had asked Yu Zian and the others to retrieve from the research institute had been recovered. With this evidence, not only could they wash away the dirty water that had been poured on Master Cheng, but they could also send the person who had made the false accusation directly to jail. Besides this, the other piece of good news was that the matter that Su Yiyan had asked Qing Juanhao and the others to investigate had taken shape. Chapter 1028. Just as she had expected, Qing Juanhao had something to do with this incident. There was indeed a mole in Qing Juanhao's company. However, Qing Fenglang did not manage to enter the company and become a senior executive, so he could only contact a limited number of senior executives. The mole he found was just a team leader of a department in the company. He could not get in touch with the core of the company, and it was impossible for him to fabricate a series of false evidence to implicate Qing Juanhao's company like in her previous life. What really surprised Su Yiyan and the others was that Qing Juanhao was not the only person behind this. There was another person, an old acquaintance. Song Yunyuan? How could it be her? When everyone heard Su Yiyan's words, they suddenly looked up. Yinyan, do you know her? Su Yiyan subconsciously turned to look at Huo Chenhuan. Huo Chenhuan was also surprised to hear this name. He was silent for a while before he said in a deep voice, she is the daughter of the Song family. The Song family? Which Song family? Su Yiyan knew that he was embarrassed to say it, so he snorted and explained on his behalf, what Song family? Just say that she used to be your suitor. What? When the elders present heard this, their eyes swept over Huo Chenhuan like searchlights. It was as if they wanted to poke him into a sieve on the spot. Huo Chenhuan felt a lot of pressure under the stares of the elders. He braced himself and said, she used to be my suitor. I don't like her and I've never been nice to her. Yin Yin can testify to this. Qing Xiuqin raised his eyebrows and looked at his daughter. Really? Really? She pestered Chenhuan before the incident with his family and wanted to marry him. Later, Chenhuan's legs had problems and something happened to his family Hua. She ran away faster than anyone else and moved the whole family abroad. Su Yuxuan narrowed her eyes and instantly caught the loophole in her sister's words. Since you pestered him before the accident, and you didn't know him at that time, how did you know this? This? Su Yiyan turned her head and cast a helpless look at her man. Huo Chenhuan sighed and said truthfully, this woman came back a year ago. When Yanyan was pregnant, she posted some specious things to sow discord between us. As soon as Huo Chenhuan said this, everyone's expression changed again. It hadn't been long since Huo Chenhuan's legs had recovered, but this Miss Song had run away faster than a rabbit when he was in trouble. She had even moved her whole family overseas. It was obvious that she didn't plan to come back unless it was necessary. However, the truth was that she had come back a year ago after Huo Chenhuan's legs had recovered. She had even secretly schemed against the pregnant woman and stirred up trouble when she was emotionally unstable to sow discord between them. It could be said that Miss Song's intentions were clear to everyone. Why haven't I heard you mention this before? Su Yiyan touched her nose guiltily. It's not a big deal. I didn't take it to heart at that time. After Chenhuan found out, he immediately dealt with her, so I didn't mention it. Dealt with her? How did you deal with her? I asked someone to find out where she lived. I directly had someone tie her up, put her on a plane and sent her abroad. As soon as Huo Chenhuan said this, the way they looked at him changed again. They were no longer as cold as before. Instead, there was a hint of complexity in their eyes. It seemed that they didn't expect Huo Chenhuan to do this. Tying her up on a plane and sending her back was simply too violent. However, when they thought about how this person had tried to destroy Su Yiyan's family, they couldn't help but say, well done. Chapter 1029. When Huo Chenhuan saw that their expressions had calmed down a little, she knew that she had escaped a disaster. She breathed a sigh of relief without a trace. When she turned her head, she met Su Yiyan's half-smiling eyes. She felt helpless and amused at the same time. When I sent her abroad, I asked someone to pass her a message. She didn't remember it at all and still dared to come back. When Su Yuxuan heard Huo Chenhuan's words, she snorted coldly. She's shameless enough to come back and beg for forgiveness. What else is there that she doesn't dare to do? However, there's something that I need to tell you guys so that you can be mentally prepared. Su Yiyan and Huo Chenhuan looked at each other and asked in confusion, what is it? According to our investigation, the reason why Miss Song was able to return to the country and get involved in this matter was because she borrowed the connections of one of her relatives. Relative? Huo Chenhuan's expression changed slightly. Could it be? When Su Yiyan heard this, she knew that he must know something. She looked at him questioningly. Huo Chenhuan didn't hide it. It should be Aunt Song. Aunt Song? Su Yiyan was shocked. Although Aunt Song's surname was also Song, she had never thought that she would have any relationship with Miss Song. She's a relative of Miss Song? Yes. But they are not related by blood. Huo Chenhuan paused and said thoughtfully, the Song family has always been powerful. Just like the reason why Song Yunyuan had taken a fancy to Huo Chenhuan, other than his looks, was mainly because he was the young master of the family Hua and the future heir. She wanted to use the marriage with the family Hua to soar into the sky. Aunt Song's father insisted on marrying an ordinary girl, so he broke off contact with the Song family. When Song Yunyuan pestered me, my parents and Aunt Song had not contacted each other for a long time. But I don't know where they found out that Auntie Song knew my parents, so they went to Auntie Song's house to harass her. They asked her to contact my mother and put in a good word for Song Yunyuan so that she could marry me. Su Yiyan was shocked. She didn't expect there to be such a story behind it. Then Aunt Song? How could Aunt Song not know what kind of people in the Song family? Not only she didn't say anything good about Song Yunyuan to my mother, but she also told my mother everything about her relationship with the Song family. Then she moved out with Uncle Luo. Pfft. Su Yiyan could not help but laugh out loud when she heard that. Is the Song family a scourge? They actually forced Auntie Song to move. When Hua Chenhuan saw her smile, he could not help but smile a little more. Isn't he a scourge? When she doesn't need you, she doesn't even look at you. But when she needs you, she immediately pesters you. She's scarier than a vampire. Aunt Song can't be provoked, but can't she avoid her? What happened after that? What else can happen after that? My parents originally had a good impression of Song Yunyuan. They didn't like her that much. They just felt that it was strange for a girl to take the initiative to pursue me. At that time, I had already told my parents that I didn't like her. Their family made such a scene, so my parents gave up on any thoughts they had. Su Yiyan and the others sighed when they heard this. This was considered a double loss, right? Chapter 1030. Then how could she use Auntie Song's connections to do these things? Hua Chenhuan narrowed her eyes and sneered. I think it's possible that she's behind Auntie Song's back. Auntie Song might not know. But whether she knows or not, we still have to inform her about this. Su Yiyan didn't have any objections to this. She had a good impression of Luo Baoging and his wife, and knew that their family didn't have a good relationship with Song Yunyuan's family. She also felt that it was more likely that they didn't know about this. Su Yuxuan heard the gist of it from the side and said with anger and amusement, after all this time, these two people behind the scenes, one is your rotten peach blossom, and the other is your husband's rotten peach blossom. These two rotten peach blossoms are still together? Are they trying to break you up and then divide the spoils? Hua Chenhuan and Su Yiyan? What do you mean by dividing the spoils? Not only the two parties involved, but everyone else was also shocked by his words. The room suddenly became quiet, and then someone couldn't help but laugh. The others finally reacted and laughed one by one. Su Yiyan and Su Yiyan looked at each other helplessly, but they couldn't refute. That night, Hua Chenhuan took the initiative to call Luo Baoging and his wife and told them about this matter. After hearing the whole story, the two were really surprised, especially Song Linghua, who was really angry. I knew that she wouldn't come back for anything good this time. Song Yunyuan's return to the country had been on her side. Although Song Linghua didn't like this family, she was still an elder. If she was too calculative with the younger generation, people would think that she was petty. Therefore, she didn't care too much about Song Yunyuan's return. As long as she didn't cause any trouble for her, she would turn a blind eye and pretend that she didn't have this strange relative. Who would have thought that even though she wanted to ignore this junior actually did all he could to harm her family behind her back. He even almost caused her and her husband to lose their chastity in their later years. One little Su. This is indeed our negligence. I didn't expect. Su Yiyan could hear the guilt in Song Linghua's words. I know you and Director Luo's character. Otherwise, I wouldn't have called you as soon as I found out about this. I just wanted to let you know the whole story and avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings in the future. That's true. Song Linghua couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. A few days ago, he had just put down his pride and asked Su Yiyan to treat the Li family's granddaughter. How long had it been since then? His own relative had backstabbed Su Yiyan's mother's family. When Song Linghua and his wife thought of this, they felt ashamed. They said apologetically, although I didn't know about this, she did it under our name. We have let you and your grandfather's family down? Auntie Song, please don't say that. That's one thing. Since this matter has nothing to do with you, every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor, how can I let you take the blame for others? I'm calling you today mainly because I want to understand the specific situation. Everyone knows what's going on. Secondly, I also wanted to ask why she did such a thing. You and Director Luo. Chapter 1031. When Song Linghua said this, it could be considered as a clear statement of her position. Su Yiyan let out a long sigh and smiled faintly. Since Auntie Song has said so, I'm relieved. She simply expressed her position on this matter. Song Linghua hesitated for a moment, but she couldn't help but ask, now that this matter has become like this, Su Yiyan knew what she wanted to ask, so she didn't hide it. This matter isn't a big deal, but it's not a small one either. Maliciously forging evidence to slander my uncle's company for tax evasion is not a big deal. Bribing dangerous people who stole confidential information to slander the elders is not a small crime. To put it bluntly, someone had to investigate this matter. If they didn't investigate, it would be a case of a false report. However, if they really investigated, there would be evidence. In serious terms, they could even treat Song Yunyuan and Song Linghua as spies who deliberately came back from abroad to cause social unrest. Su Yiyan had specially called to inform her in advance. Naturally, she couldn't just let the matter rest. Even if Song Yunyuan could survive, she probably wouldn't be able to leave that cage for the rest of her life. Song Linghua was silent for a long time before she exhaled faintly. Forget it. People have to pay the price for their greed. Since I've made my choice, it has nothing to do with others. The corners of Su Yiyan's lips curled up slightly, and she kindly reminded Song Linghua, Auntie Song is very righteous, but some people might not be. Song Yunyuan is in trouble in China. Her family. I'm afraid they will find trouble with you. You and Director Luo have to be mentally prepared. Some people are shameless and don't care whether you are relatives or not. They are even fiercer than enemies. When Song Linghua heard Su Yiyan's words, her face sank. She probably remembered this family's strange actions back then. So be it. Do you think I'm afraid of them? It just so happens that I still have some debts to settle with them. I'll take this opportunity to settle them properly. Otherwise, when they all die abroad in the future, these things will become a mess and have to be settled underground. It's good that you know what to do. Cheng Juanhao and the others acted quickly. Song Yunyuan and Cheng Fenglang were quickly subdued. When the two of them were arrested, they were still in a hotel, secretly plotting how to convict the Cheng family so that Su Yiyan would have no one to rely on. When they rushed in, the smiles on their faces froze on their faces before they even had time to restrain themselves. Cheng Fenglang's parents had been busy living apart and getting a divorce. After learning that their son had been arrested because of the Cheng family's matter, they had come to his house a few times to make trouble. Fortunately, Cheng Juanhao was prepared for this. No matter how Cheng Fenglang's parents cried, made a fuss, and threatened to hang themselves, he did not allow them to enter the house and took them away. Not long after, he heard that Cheng Fenglang's talkative mother had suddenly been diagnosed with liver cancer. Cheng Fenglang's father couldn't afford to pay for her treatment. The two of them, who had already shed all pretense of cordiality, quarreled even more loudly every day. They could not even protect themselves, so they did not have the energy to care about their son who was destined to never come back. On the third day of Cheng Fenglang's arrest, the police suddenly sent news that Cheng Fenglang wanted to see Su Yiyan one last time. Coincidentally, at the same time, Song Yunyuan also sent a message saying that she wanted to see Hua Chenhuan one last time. When Su Yiyan heard about this, she immediately remembered what her elder brother had said that day. She chuckled and said, "Birds of a feather flock together. These two people's brain circuits are the same. No wonder they can be together." Chapter 1032. Hua Chenhuan's face sank. "Do you want to go? If you don't want to, we won't go." It was just a last-ditch struggle. It didn't matter whether they met or not. "No, I want to go." Su Yiyan turned her head and looked at her man's disapproving expression. She smiled and said, "Let's go and listen to what these two weirdos have to say. At the same time, we can make these two jealous people angry." Hua Chenhuan immediately guessed Su Yiyan's plan. A trace of helplessness and indulgence flashed through her eyes. Okay. The meeting time was arranged in the afternoon. Considering that these two people might be locked up in the same place in the future. In order to let them get used to it as soon as possible and to save time, Hua Chenhuan simply asked the people over there to arrange for the two people to meet in two rooms next to each other. Song Yunyuan and Cheng Fenglang looked at each other across the prison cell. Their faces were a little dark. But they also knew that they had no way out now. If they really made a scene here, they might not even be able to see the person they wanted to see for the last time. When Su Yiyan and Cheng Fenglang came in, Song Yunyuan and Cheng Fenglang were arguing with each other. When they heard the sound, the room suddenly became quiet. Song Yunyuan was the first to react. She stood up and rushed to the front. She held the pillar on the side of the cell tightly. Through the gap, she stared at Huo Chenhuan with blazing eyes. "You're here." Huo Chenhuan frowned slightly. Disgust flashed through her eyes. Then she quickly withdrew her gaze and focused on Su Yiyan. The impatience and coldness between her eyebrows melted in an instant, leaving only a strong warmth and love. This obvious contrast in Song Yunyuan's eyes was tantamount to a sharp knife that ruthlessly pierced her heart. It pierced her self-righteousness and self-confidence. "You shameless bitch thief." Song Yunyuan's face became ferocious and distorted. His eyes were bloodshot as if he wanted to swallow Su Yiyan alive and tear him into pieces. "Thief." Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows and found it funny. "What makes you think I'm a thief? What did I steal? Am I a man's heart?" Su Yiyan said as she touched her man's chest like a rogue. "Then I'm really sorry. My man's heart is in my hands from the beginning to the end. It only belongs to me. There's no need to waste any effort to steal it. Only those pitiful creatures who wanted something but couldn't get it would think about other people's things every day and end up with nothing. Serves him right." "You. Nonsense." Song Yunyuan was already irritated by the intimacy between the two. Now that she heard Su Yiyan's words, she was even more furious. He likes me, he likes me." Su Yiyan chuckled, her eyes full of mockery. "Are you a roundworm in his stomach? Whether he likes you or not, how would you know? Or did he do something to make you misunderstand that he likes you? If that's really the case now that we're here, I don't mind you bringing up some old and rotten accounts. Tell me, why does he like you?" Song Yunyuan's affectionate expression suddenly froze. Although she made a solemn vow, she really couldn't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After all, whether it was in the past or now, Huo Chenhuan seemed to be avoiding her like the plague, not to mention treating her well. She thought about the last time she returned to the country happily and finally found an opportunity to secretly sow discord between Su Yiyan and his wife. Chapter 1033. However, as soon as it started, Huo Chenhuan sent someone to pack them up and send them on the plane. Song Yunyuan was full of confidence when she came back, but she was humiliated when she was sent back. She didn't believe that Huo Chenhuan would treat her like this. It must be that this woman knew the truth and secretly drove her away behind his back. Yes, it must be like this. Song Yunyuan looked at Su Yiyan with increasingly cold and resentful eyes. "Chenhuan, don't be fooled by this woman. She is a shameless b*tc. Do you know that she sent people to catch me behind your back and force me to leave? She even threatened me that if I dared to come back to you, she would kill me and my family. Don't be fooled by how gentle and considerate she pretends to be in front of you. In fact, she is a vicious b*tc. Are you done scolding?" "What?" Song Yunyuan looked at Huo Chenhuan, whose face was covered with frost and whose eyes were so cold that it seemed to pierce through her. She couldn't help but shiver and suddenly had an ominous premonition. "It seems that you haven't learned your lesson from what happened before. You didn't take the warning I asked Xian to give you to heart at all. You." Huo Chenhuan's words were tantamount to admitting that everything that happened before was his doing. Taking a step back, even if it wasn't an order from his mouth, it must have been approved by him. Song Yunyuan's eyes narrowed. She was hit hard. She couldn't accept that Huo Chenhuan really didn't have any feelings for her. Just like how Huo Chenhuan had rejected her countless times in the past, she was the one who pestered him and refused to let go. In the end, when Huo Chenhuan was in trouble, she ran away faster than anyone else. After knowing that his legs had recovered, Song Yunyuan spontaneously beautified everything that had happened in the past. Huo Chenhuan also had feelings for her. It was only because she had left and hurt his heart that he retreated and settled for the next best thing, which allowed another woman to take advantage of him. As long as she appeared again and awakened Huo Chenhuan's former love for her, the inferior substitute would be rejected by him sooner or later. At that time, Huo Chenhuan would definitely divorce and marry her. She would still be the legitimate Mrs. Hua. It's you, isn't it? It's you who deliberately spoke ill of me in front of Chenhuan and ruined his impression of me. You shameless b*tc. You won't shed tears until you see the coffin." Su Yiyan really thought that this woman was sick in the head. "You're a dog skin plaster who worships the powerful and tramples on the weak. You run away when you encounter trouble, and once you find out that there's something to gain, you try every means to stick to me. What gave you the confidence to make you think that your image in Chenhuan's eyes is so pure and unattainable?" Song Yunyuan's face was livid. She opened her mouth and wanted to refute. Su Yiyin didn't intend to give her a chance at all. The person in question is right here. Do you want to ask him if he ever had any feelings for you? No. As soon as Su Yiyin's voice fell, the person in question denied it without thinking. I only loved you in the past, now, and in the future. I don't like anyone else except you. Hua Qinhuan's ruthless words suddenly made the not harmonious atmosphere suffocate. Su Yiyin was the first to react. Looking at Song Yunyuan's pale face, she felt an indescribable relief. Do you understand? Song Yunyuan was like a sick cat whose tail had been stepped on. She opened her mouth with a ferocious expression and was about to curse, but was interrupted by Hua Qinhuan. Chapter 1034. Keep scolding. If you scold my wife, I'll send one of your relatives to accompany you. You've just scolded me 4 times. Within a month, I'll send 4 of your relatives to reunite with you. Don't worry, I won't let you wait long. Hua Qinhuan's words were light as if they were just a joke. But as long as one looked at his expression and the way he stared at Song Yunyuan at the moment, no one would think that he was joking. Song Yunyuan met his gaze and felt a chill run down her spine. It made her limbs cold and she couldn't help but want to shiver. No, you can't. Hua Qinhuan glanced at her as if he was looking at an insignificant ant. No, I can. Song Yunyuan's body trembled. At this moment, she realized that maybe she shouldn't have come back in the first place. She shouldn't have thought that this man would be soft-hearted and change for her. She thought too highly of herself. Su Yiyin saw the change in Song Yunyuan's expression and didn't have any sympathy in her heart. She dared to seduce her husband so blatantly in front of her. Who knew what she was thinking about her husband behind his back? Thinking of this, Su Yiyin couldn't help but feel disgusted. Sometimes, it wasn't a good thing to have many suitors, especially suitors like this who were self-righteous and regarded the person they liked as their possession without the slightest respect. It was a big trouble that couldn't be gotten rid of. In this regard, Qing Fenglang was quite similar to her. Just as she was thinking about this, Qing Fenglang, who had been watching this farce coldly from the side, finally couldn't hold back and shouted with a sad expression, "Yin, Mr. Qing, we don't know each other well." The expression on Qing Fenglang's face suddenly froze. Song Yunyuan next door sneered as if she was mocking Qing Fenglang for thinking too much. She was having a hard time and so was Qing Fenglang. They were all in the same boat and no one needed to discuss the other. Qing Fenglang's IQ was still a little higher than Song Yunyuan's. The expression on his face only stiffened for a moment before he quickly adjusted. He frowned and said, "Is there any misunderstanding between us? Uncle, weren't you the one who reported the company?" "How could I?" Su Yiyin interrupted his explanation. "Grandpa has been slandered for taking kickbacks and stealing the research results of his staff. Do you dare to say that you have nothing to do with it?" "I." Cheng Juanhao looked into Su Yiyin's eyes. His heart trembled slightly, and a trace of guilt flashed across his eyes. However, he understood that he couldn't admit to this because once he did, he would be doomed eternally. "I don't understand what you're talking about. I've heard about what happened between my uncle and the old man. In my heart, I also hope that these things aren't true. It's just that my parents have been in a lot of trouble recently, and I can't take care of myself. That's why I haven't taken the time to care about my uncle and the old man. You can't think that this matter has something to do with me just because of this, or even that I'm behind it. What good can I do if something happens to the old man and uncle? It's true that there's nothing good for you if something happens to your grandfather and uncle. However, there's a kind of person in this world who, even if it's not beneficial to himself, still likes to harm others. It's just for his vanity that has nowhere to go." "Yen Yu." Cheng Fenglang frowned and wanted to explain, but he was interrupted by Su Yiyin again. "Why do you think you're here? Do you think I'll tell you this without definite evidence? Do you think the police will arrest people without definite evidence?" Chapter 1035. Cheng Fenglang's face turned from green to white, from white to green, changing unpredictably. Su Yiyin was too lazy to continue talking to him. If Cheng Fenglang was like Song Yunyuan, crying and making a fuss, she would be in the mood to play with him. But now, he knew that the things he had done had been exposed, but he was still stubborn and trying to get himself out of this matter. He really thought they were fools. "If you tried so hard to see me just to say these words, then you're done. Now that you've said it, I'm too lazy to listen to the rest. That's it, let's go." As Su Yiyin spoke, she pulled Hua Qinhuan and was about to walk out. Seeing this, Qing Fenglang could no longer care about anything else. Wait. Is there anything else? Qing Fenglang looked at Su Yiyan's slightly mocking eyes, gritted his teeth and asked tentatively, "You know all about it." "Know what?" Su Yiyan turned around and looked directly into his eyes. She said with a faint smile, "I know that you're the one behind the scenes. You bribed the employees of my uncle's company and maliciously reported my uncle's company and my grandfather, in order to destroy them and get to the top. Or do you know that more than 90% of the reason you did all this is because you like me, and you want to take revenge on my uncle and my grandfather so that I have no one to rely on and can only rely on you?" "You already know." Qing Fenglang looked at Su Yiyan with a burning gaze that had never been seen before. It was as if she had opened the window paper and destroyed some kind of imprisonment that had originally restrained him. "Yan, I like you. I've liked you for a long time. You don't know how much I like you and how long I've liked you. We're not related by blood at all, so why did they have to stop me? They even refused to let me see you a few more times. As soon as they knew my feelings for you, they sent me abroad regardless of anything so that I could never see you again. They deserve to die. Anyone who stops me from being with you deserves to die. As long as they are dead, no one will be able to stop us. As long as they are dead, you can be with me. You will belong to me alone." At this moment, Qing Fenglang finally revealed his crazy side. He knew very well that once his deeds were exposed, Su Yiyan would not let him go. The Qing family would not let him go either. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to hide the shameful thoughts that he had been hiding all these years. Hua Qinhuan's face was as black as the bottom of a pot when he heard this man's naked confession and his almost crazy desire to monopolize his wife. Just as he was about to make a move, he was stopped by Su Yiyan. "So what? What? So what if they stop you?" Su Yiyan looked up at Qing Fenglang and said in an unprecedentedly cold tone, "You were wrong from the beginning. You like me but I don't like you. It has nothing to do with whether we are related by blood or not. Even if they don't send you abroad, I can't be with you." Qing Fenglang was shocked, and his always gentle and calm face became distorted and ferocious. "Then who do you like?" Qing Fenglang pointed at Hua Qinhuan, gnashed his teeth and growled, "How can I not compare with him? I can give you whatever he can give you. As long as you are willing, I don't mind that you married him and had a child with him. As long as you are willing, I am willing to give you anything." Chapter 1036. Qing Fenglang said and even stretched his hand out of the fence as if he wanted to pull Su Yiyan. "What do you love about him? Money? Don't tell me you like him. When you married him, he was just a cripple that no one wanted." Su Yiyan hated it the most when people talked about Hua Qinhuan's crippled legs. Qing Fenglang's words could be said to have accurately poked her Achilles' heel. With a bang, all the fire in her stomach was ignited. "You really don't believe me. I just like him. Whether he is well or crippled, I like him. The fact is, in my heart, you are not even comparable to a cripple. No, in my heart, you can't even compare to a single hair of his. You don't deserve to be compared to him." "Money? Do you think I care about your stinky money? Let me tell you, when I got married, the dowry my parents gave me, and the betrothal gift my husband gave me, can make you struggle less for hundreds of years. You can't compare to him, your ability is not good, and you don't earn as much money as others. Who gave you the courage to vow that you can compare to him? Is it this cellmate next to you?" With just a few words, Su Yiyan had managed to diss both of them at the same time. Hua Qinhuan couldn't help but laugh on the spot. The depression in his heart disappeared without a trace. Although he regretted that he couldn't show his masculinity in front of his wife's protective appearance really made him love her to the bone. Qing Fenglang was directly refuted by her words. After a while he reacted. His lips trembled slightly and he said, "This is the real reason why you married him? I was wrong about you. My mother was right. You are the same as those vain women." Su Yiyan narrowed her eyes. She intuitively felt that she couldn't understand these brain-dead people whose brain circuits were in a dead knot. Hua Qinhuan didn't want to hear anything bad about Su Yiyan from other people's mouths. She sneered, "Yes, I spent all my savings to beg Yan to be with me and marry me." "You?" Qing Fenglang's expression changed slightly. Song Yunyuan subconsciously tightened her grip on the pillar. Her eyes were filled with jealousy and hatred. "She is worth it. I was willing to. I got what I loved all my life. I got what I wanted the most. If you can't get it, it only means that you're incompetent and unworthy. From the moment you laid your hands on Yan's family and tried to hurt them, You had already lost the right to like her. Huo looked at Cheng Fenglang with a cold gaze as if he was looking at a dead man. You even said that you didn't mind that she had been married to me and had given birth to my child. From your words, I can tell that you despise her. You just treat Yan Yan as an object, a possession that you like and think is infallible. You don't know how to respect her at all. The so-called love that you can give her is just the material that you can give her. With such little ability, what right do you have to say that Yan Yan is vain? Let's go. Don't talk to them. Su Yiyan glanced at the two unconvinced people. She only felt that it was a mistake to come today. What a waste of time. I already regret coming. Su Yiyan said that she wanted to leave. Huo naturally had no reason to refuse. She immediately took Su Yiyan's hand and led her out, leaving the two losers staring at each other and mocking each other. This is your so-called white moonlight. Look at her. Does she care about you? You're asking for humiliation. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.